Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. STARJUMP Shipyard. It is Sunday night. Back to our old Sunday night time. We'll see how long that lasts as we start to figure out the schedule. But nice to see everybody. I hope you're having a lovely weekend. I noticed the Grim chat is on. I'm actually going to turn that off for the screen. I've been doing that lately. It is nice to see everyone. We do have quite a bit to talk about. But first and foremost, shout out to all of you in chat. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. We have a special guest on. It's Trispone. You all know him. He's got an awesome YouTube channel. He has done some really, really cool streams around the ship we're going to be talking a lot about tonight, the RSI Galaxy. I'm sure many of you have seen those videos, those streams. Trist, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me again.
No problem. I figured we're talking about the Galaxy. We need to do this. We were going to have you on during the Ironclad show, and I can't remember. I think I wasn't like prepped up. I was doing a lot of changing to my OBS setup, and I think on that day, like the 3-person mode, I just did not have set up or something. So either way, we got you for the Galaxy. It's an exciting ship, one that I know you know very well. So we're going to dive into that here shortly. But we also got Artorias with us with the STARJUMP Summit countdown. Now, are those days accurate, Art?
These are accurate days.
27 days to launch. Yeah. 27 days to launch till the STARJUMP Summit. Hit kind of a big milestone today on that, in that everything required for the event has arrived. It's all in my basement. It's piled up. I QC checked it. We're all good. I can say that anyone who's coming or anyone who's getting a swag bag, I genuinely think you're getting one of the best Star Citizen fan event swag bags ever, because I just added an extra item to it that no one knows about that is super cool. I'm going to keep it as a big surprise. But I think you're all going to be happy. That's only 27 days away, so a lot of thinking going into that. Lock down the schedule, which we'll be posting very soon. You can probably expect the schedule for the event, meaning what's going to happen throughout that day, to probably hit the website sometime this week. Citizen Wake says code for Odin. No, unfortunately, you can't get an Odin if I haven't gotten an Odin, okay? And I haven't gotten an Odin, so there you go. That being said, quick shout out to our amazing sponsors as always. Pigeon Spaceport, make sure you go check them out. PigeonSpaceport.com. Use the code STARJUMP. They make the really cool ABS injection molded RSI Scorpius model. Really, really cool. Can't wait to get my hands on one. Also, our friends over at IconCity.com. James over there, a supporter of the summit, offering up an Elgato Stream Deck for raffle. I have that in hand. We're going to be raffling that off while we're there. So thank you very much, Icon City. Again, IconCity.com. Use the code STARJUMP. And, of course, our newest sponsor, Monster Tech, MT Sim. Shout out to Mootkins and Crucian over there for getting all that set up. They're sending over some incredible stuff for the summit, which I'm really excited about. We just got in a huge poster advertising that raffle that we're going to be putting up while we're there. But make sure you go to MT, or was it just, let me check the website address here to make sure I don't have it wrong. Yeah, it's monster.tech. Monster.tech. Go there. You can use the code STARJUMP. They have got obviously everything you see here. They've got the the desk mounts, the chair mounts. They've got the gaming chairs, this, that, and the other. You really can't go wrong. So check them out. Really, really appreciate it, everyone. Make sure you show those sponsors some love. I do need to fix something on my monitor here. But before we kind of get jumping into things, I'll hand it over to you two guys. How are you guys doing? How are things in your world? Who wants to go first?
Well,
Can you go first?
of course.
Sorry. So yeah, I have to mention first, it's middle of the night for me, so I will do a lot of facts that are wrong, and you can correct me.
Awesome. That's why we brought you on, is to just get a bunch of stuff wrong. So I'm sure even in your tired state, you'll be more on top of Galaxy information than I would. So it's still good
We'll
to
see. We'll see. Other than that, I'm quite good, and I have completely forgot about the Galaxy in the last few months, and now I have to get big into it, and it's
It's coming quick.
Yeah,
It's coming really quick. So
surprisingly quick.
yeah, Art, how have you been doing? What's the latest in your world?
It's wet.
It is wet
It's
here.
Jim.
Yeah.
Jim, it's been raining.
Yeah.
The other
Really?
thing I just want to say
A
really
lot.
quickly, I've noticed this a little bit in chat the last couple streams, so I'll reiterate it again. Critical to a point. We don't bash on employees. We don't call them
It's true.
slow-brained. We don't call them all kinds of stuff. You can be critical of the project, but we don't pick on people. And you start picking on people, I will start swinging some hammers.
Yeah, but you know how it is. I mean, we got some friends there, and we try to keep it positive here, everybody. We try to keep it a little bit uplifting. There's those days where we're just not feeling it. You're not feeling the project. You're not feeling, the game or whatever. That's fine. That does happen. I'm gonna turn you up a little bit, Art. Don't worry. That does happen. But on those days, we just sort of take a break. You know what I mean? We really kind of do this show to excite people and get people talking about stuff. Again, it's not that you can't be feeling down on the project sometimes. That's totally natural. I have those times myself. But when we're doing the show, we do try to keep it kind of up and stuff. Ben Art, thank you for subscribing over on Twitch. Do appreciate it. Salute to you. I do want to before we go into everything, I do want to shout out really quickly. And I realize I hadn't been doing this, and I really should do it. Shout out the STARJUMP team members you don't see on here, VMXEO, and of course Starlet, who do so much work behind the scenes for the project you know and love. So make sure you give them an 07. Of course, we got Art here, show producing things and keeping my head on straight. So it couldn't all be done without everyone pitching in. It is really hard to kind of do everything and stay on top of everything. So when you have that help, it goes a long way. So thanks to the entire team. I've had some people ask me recently, what the makeup of STARJUMP is. And STARJUMP, it's kind of a team endeavor. Everyone puts in, and it's sort of a vehicle, including you all in the community, the STARJUMP community. Hopefully it's a vehicle we can all step on and ride, make friends, have a good time, kind of move forward in a positive manner with people by our side. That's sort of what STARJUMP is supposed to be all about. Okay. So that being said, thanks to everyone on the STARJUMP side. Thanks to everyone on the STARJUMP community side that make all this happen. You're all killer. We do have a giveaway. Let's go ahead and talk about that real quick. I'm going to switch over. We do have a giveaway tonight. We're going to be giving away one of the Steel Tech bundles. How do you get in on that? It's real easy. All you got to do is go, if you're over on YouTube, there's a link pinned to chat. Just go to that link as my new player guide video, leave a comment and say, hi, hello, how are you? It can be a single word, doesn't really matter. Say hello, and I'm going to pull a random comment. If you're over on the Twitch side of things, it's just exclamation ticket or exclamation ticket space max. Okay. Blackbird in chat, I see you. Hello. He says, hello from France. Nice to see you. We're going to talk all about, just so everyone knows, we're going to talk about the Galaxy. We're going to talk about the new ship leaks. We're going to talk about the Stingray. We're going to talk about all of it. But real quick here, the Steel Tech bundle comes with the Steel Tech Asgard paint. Really, really slick. It comes with the Apocalypse Arms Vendetta Steel Tech HMG, the CDS heavy armor, super heavy armor. I think that's what they're calling it, including the ammo carrier and one magazine for your big HMG. Say what you will about the armor. I know some people love it. Some people haven't tried it, but the Asgard paint alone is pretty badass. Those of you will know who've watched the streams before that I'm a fan of the Asgard. Funny enough, again, not a ship I was originally excited for. It wasn't until I used it and flew it that it became something I really loved and used. It's kind of like an everyday daily driver type ship. So yes, get in on that. Do appreciate you all partaking or getting excited and partaking in the giveaways. I can say that I'm pretty sure every giveaway someone has won has been awarded up to this point. Checking my notes here. Yep, I think I got everyone from the last several streams. So thank you for your patience. If you did win something, it took a little bit to get to you. I think I have everyone topped off. Okay, so we're going to jump in. Before we jump into the Galaxy, which I know is sort of our main topic ship tonight, I want to talk really quickly. Let me go ahead and bring it up. Stand by. I want to talk really quickly about a ship I know you have all seen because the images leaked out, but I figure we go ahead and cover it at the beginning of the show. We're going to talk about the Kruger Stingray. I believe it's the XS65S or S65 Stingray. I can't remember the exact name of it.
S65, I think.
S65. Okay. We have two images that came out, this one here and then this one here, which is a pretty wild paint job. I like them both. I guess I'll open it up to you two gentlemen to feel free to jump in. I would say just right off the bat that it shockingly did not surprise me, the look of this thing. I kind of thought it was going to look like a Stingray. Not to be too literal, but after the Tiburon, I kind of went, I think this Stingray is going to look exactly like a Stingray, and it kind of looks exactly like a Stingray. What do you guys think, based off what we've seen so far? Trist? I'll ask you first,
Okay,
Trist.
Right. It looks similar to what I expected. I thought about this for a long time. I wanted to draw one and make a video about it, but the muse didn't quite kiss me this time. Because I thought I was off, but turned out what I had looked pretty much like that.
Yeah.
If you remember that I did this silhouette video in January, I had one chip in the placeholder for the Stingray, and my placeholder was the German, what's it called? Horten.
The Horten bomber.
Yeah. And so that was my guess that it has to look like that because they had the Spitfire as the inspiration for the Wolf, and the bombers of the Britons at the time looked like planes. So the German one looked much more like it. Also, it looked like a Stingray. So I thought it's that, and then like a mix with. Do you remember that plane from Indiana Jones?
Yeah.
Raider of the Lost Ark. That is not a real plane, but the look is very similarish.
It is.
So
yeah,
pretty much what was to be expected. The only thing I have to say, this Stingray in the needle in the end, that's too much.
I will say that the little Stingray, at the end, it does feel a little too on the nose, maybe.
Yeah, too on the nose.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see when it's in flight. I could see something to where when it does transition into flight, the wings go down, the tail could possibly transform in some sort of way. I do think, though, you're right that like tail is going to be sort of that downward fin on the Wolf. It's going to be like the controversial part of this ship. Yeah, I mean, I like it. Art, I don't know if you have any opinions on it. I mean, I do see some areas in here in the wing that look like they hold either missiles or something like that. If the wings are folded down, again, the thing I immediately go to is an Eclipse competitor. You know what I mean? And I've been saying absolutely. That for a long time. The question will be, though, does it play in the same armament category as the Eclipse? I don't think it does, because I think the unique weaponry is probably whatever this thing up here at the front is, which we saw in a leak. Jen and Tonic says STARJUMP Grim, it's an Aerospike engine. Yeah, it could be. Maybe that's a third engine. It's very clear we have two cutouts here with thrusters going back. So I don't know if there's three thrusters or just the two or whatever. We'll see, though. I would assume it kind of is something like that. But I don't know. Do we think this? I guess the question is, first, do we think this is going to be like primarily combat related? It is a Kruger ship. We know Kruger kind of builds their ships around the weapons, essentially. So, I mean, would you all agree that this is most likely a bespoke weapon, probably like heavy fighter? Is that what the thinking is here?
I could see that tail section too folding up.
Yeah.
40.
Oh, you cut out a little bit there, Art. Oh yeah, I meant to tell you that your gate on your background noise clipper
Oh.
might be a little too
Little high?
sensitive. Yeah, it might be a little bit.
I'll
But
fix
yeah,
it.
yeah, okay. Yeah,
just
I
think
mean,
it's stealth in the beginning, but the paint job does
yeah,
pretty much say heavy. Heavy. I don't care if you see me. I'm going to
Yeah.
kill you.
that's a good point. That's something I was originally thinking about. I again, go into the Eclipse's kind of, stealth, or at least low visibility, kind of status. I was thinking this might be the same, but when I saw the paint job, I was like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know about that. Not that, black always has to mean stealth, but yeah, this almost, in a way, almost looks like racing paint, liveries. So I don't know if that's what they're doing here. I don't think this is racing at all, but I think it could be something like a heavy fighter. It seems like it makes sense. So do we think there could be variants of this?
Yeah, stealth variant.
Yeah. At the vacation, greetings. Hope you're well. Yeah, I mean, it's. I'm excited to see what this is. I do think the Kruger line of ships has just been a good addition to the game, because I do think the Kruger line is bringing something that we do not have from any of the other manufacturers. I'm just talking in terms of looks, feel, aesthetic. I mean, there's elements of other manufacturers in this. Like there's like a little hint of Misk with like the rolling curves and the smooth exteriors, a little bit of that Origin kind of vibe, but ultimately it still really does feel unique. So I do like the fact that we're starting to get these Kruger ships. I mean, obviously this looks like we have a cockpit up front. It doesn't look like it has an interior based off the scale and everything, but it does have me excited for one day when we do get a Kruger ship with an interior, what that interior space would look like, how the design ethos that they're following on the exterior would translate to the rest of the ship. But yeah, we'll have to see
that.
Yeah,
but that cockpit there was actually in the files a few weeks ago.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was never shown on any of the leakers, but it was just in the game files. It's pretty much the same exact cockpit as the Wolf ones.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Like barely any changes. The same size, just a few little changes.
Yeah, it is funny sometimes how certain things will drop in the files and the usual data miners just don't grab it or snag it, But I would assume this ship is soon, right? I mean, what are we thinking? Obviously, this is 4.10. What's the latest estimations on 4.10 releasing? I'm not even sure where we're at in the testing cycle. Are we thinking next week? Could it be that soon? I don't know.
Weeks at least, for sure, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Up 1 second here. Okay. Art is having audio issues. Going to attempt to fix. Okay. Art, whenever you do get what you think's working, just feel free to talk. We can test. We'll do it live. Yeah, it was just your gate was clipping a little bit. I don't think you can hear me, but that's okay. That is the Kruger Stingray. Chat, what do you all think? Are you excited for this one? Is it an instant buy for you? We'll have to see. I mean, it's going to come down to price. If this is a competitor to something like the Eclipse, I would say that it's going to come down to price, right? And I'm being pretty presumptuous by saying it is a competitor to the Eclipse, but what I mean is that the Eclipse is a very expensive ship. It always has been. So it kind of makes me wonder if this is playing in that regime, like what that price is going to be. In terms of other Kruger ships, I have been a big fan of the Alpha Wolf. That is the one I own. And I've really liked that ship. I use it quite a bit. So we'll have to say. Anything else we want to say about the Stingray before moving on? And obviously, when this comes out, we're gonna cover it in depth. So, It's JoJo TV says supposed price I heard was 175 credit. Okay, could be 175 credit. Yeah. That would make me feel like this is possibly not a heavy fighter, right? Because heavy fighters tend to be a lot more than that. That would put it, I think, more in what, like the medium fighter, I think, if it was around that 175. So, but here's the thing. This could be a medium fighter. We really don't know. I think there was a lot of speculation from people that maybe this is, a heavy fighter, but there's been no confirmation of that unless I missed it. So we'll have to see.
The only thing I can add is I think it's smaller than I and many people may have thought.
Yeah.
The cockpit is tiny.
Yeah, and if you look, it's really not that long. I mean, hell, it could technically even be smaller in length than the Wolf. It's a little hard to tell. Or it could be around the same length. I mean, the wingspan, I think, makes it feel a little bigger. But maybe this sits purely in that medium category. Jojo says Xenon mentioned it. Okay. I mean, Xenon usually has good info, so maybe it's legit. Maybe it's legit. We'll have to see. But there it is, everyone. The Kruger Stingray. We've got 2 liveries out here. They've snuck out for it. This one here, and then this one here. I'm assuming this one is maybe some sort of concierge type livery. I do really like it. I think it looks pretty slick.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, on the special liveries, on the special paint jobs, as long as CIG does something really special with them, I like it. I like when they do that. I don't mind them selling them. But again, my thinking is if you're going to create something, then create something kind of special with some lines, graphics, patterns, all that kind of cool stuff. And I think this one, they did a really nice job. So I would love to see it with the wings down. I think it's going to look really, really great. So there we go. That is the Kruger Stingray. Okay, next we are going to talk about this ship. I'm going to talk about this ship. Oh, by the way, everyone, this question bot is running, so you can ask questions. You can just use the word question. We will pick it up. We'll swing back around at the end to kind of pick up any questions, especially any of them that are like sort of pertinent. But let's go ahead and move over to the Galaxy. And obviously the reason, not the entire reason Trist is on. I just like having Trist on. It's always nice to have conversations with him. But I wanted to have you on, Trist, with this one just because you know this ship intimately. It's very much like the Ironclad, where it's a ship you've spent a lot of time with. You've done some in-depth modeling to. So I think I'm going to hand it over to you first and ask you just straight off, what do you think of the Galaxy? Like, what's your 30,000-foot view? And maybe give us a little bit of a definition on what this ship is for those maybe that are in the chat that are not familiar with it already.
Alrighty. So, first of all, it was announced about 4 years ago. So, IAE 2020. Mm-hmm. And back then it was announced as the chip that has true modularity. So not like small changes like in the tally, but like completely changing the role. And it was sold as either a cargo ship, a refining ship, or a medical ship.
Yeah.
Others were mentioned too, but those were the official ones. It's about the size of an Ironclad in length. Mm-hmm. And I guess the mix of the role is what makes it special to a lot of people. Even though I guess the role and the use of it has changed quite a lot since then. I guess we'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. But I guess the one big important feature is the modularity. And in addition to that, it also has a hangar in the back, which is also, at least back then, 4 years ago, that was something very special. Mm-hmm. We didn't have as many carrier ships as we have now. But that was a big talking point back then.
Yeah. Sky, thank you for giving out that one community sub. Do appreciate that. Salute to you. Thank you very much. That is appreciated.
2022, if I said 2020.
Oh, okay.
2022.
2022, but it is crazy how time flies. I mean, we're already in 2026. So, the Galaxy is one of those ships I put right in that category of ships I just referred to as crowd pleasers, meaning it's going to be a popular ship because it just has a few things that people love about ships, right? It's got the ability to carry a vehicle. It's got the ability to carry a ship at the same time. So it's got both the hangar and the garage. It's got both of those. It's got a modular setup inside, so you can sort of build the ship around the task you want to do. It, again, may not be a master of any one of those, but it's going to be able to do all three of them, at least the three modules that have really been gone into in any sort of detail, which is refining, medical, and cargo. And we're going to go into those more here in a minute. But it's going to be able to do all three of those pretty damn well, to be quite honest with you. It's of a size that it's that big ship, but we're not getting into like capital territory where you're starting to get a ship that you really need a pretty robust crew to fly effectively. I feel like these ships up to ironclad and Carrack size, yeah, it's good to take a friend or two with you, but people can still get a lot of use out of them from a solo standpoint. So and then obviously it's got the classic, and I do call it classic at this point, the classic wedge-shaped kind of vibe that the RSI ships have, the new ones like the Polaris and the Perseus and stuff. So again, crowd pleaser ship. I think it's going to sell really well. Actually, let me switch over really quick and go to, let me bring up, one second, everyone. Let me bring up the wiki page for the ship really quick because it's always got good info as well. Shout out to them. I wanted to bring up the pledge price here. So 380 standalone and 350 war bond. Obviously, this ship is going to go up in price. That's to be expected. Let's see here. Art says he's got no audio now at all. Still working on it. I'll just hop back in voice when he gets it fixed. No worries. Sounds about right. As soon as I said something about the gate, his mic would stop working. So, but that being said, the ship, as Tris said, coming in at about, was it about 110 meters long? Is it possible the ship could grow? It's possible. What the CIG has not updated us on any new metrics for the ship, but 110 meters long would put it at around, I think around Tiburon size, actually. So a little bit shorter than the Ironclad, but still in that sort of 110 to 120 meter large category of ship sort of thing. Obviously, the ship is a modular ship. We'll actually move on down here. The three primary modules that have been talked about during the initial concept sale was a cargo module, a med bay module, and a refinery module. You could see all those in some of the concept imagery that was released about the ship. And then they talked about some other modules coming down the line, and specifically on the website, they say manufacturing. Now, before we get to
base building was also confirmed to be coming.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I wanted to bring up. Some of you may have heard the controversy surrounding a base building module, whereas during the initial concept, it was sort of talked about as a manufacturing module. But then when Todd Pappy did his presentation at CitizenCon, where he revealed that base building was going into production, like they were starting to work on that, he used some slides that very clearly showed a Galaxy as part of sort of the base building pipeline, right? And that pipeline going from the construction grav cart to the ground vehicle based base builder, then to the Galaxy, then to the Pioneer. Now, to clear all this up, a lot changed from when this slide was created in regards to the base building vehicles. All three of these ended up changing. Okay, so the construction grav cart went from, as a matter of fact, I think I have it here. The construction grav cart went from this thing that you see here to the construction grav cart that you saw in that CitizenCon presentation, which looks like a wholly different sort of hover trolley that you push. The ground vehicle, which on this looks like this giant anvil Atlas platform kind of ground vehicle, we know that they moved away from this and went to the CSV FM, the CSV fabrication module variant. And then the Galaxy, which was shown as the large base builder, ended up turning into the Starlancer build. Now, this caused a lot of controversy. People were like, well, I saw the Galaxy in the base building slides. That's why I bought a Galaxy, this, that, and the other. So to his credit, John Crew pretty quickly rectified that. I think it was like within 2 weeks of him saying that the Galaxy was not going to do base building, he went back and changed that and said that it would. So there you go. Hey, I see C Daddy in chat. C Daddy, hope you're doing well, buddy. But I'm speculating here. Obviously, I'm not a CIG developer, but again, I think the changes started occurring when CIG started taking a look at the sizes of some of these vehicles, especially, and we're just tangenting on base building really quickly here, but I think the reason the ground vehicle changed was that CIG wanted to open up medium base building to ships that didn't have to be big enough to carry this monstrosity. Like with the CSVFM, you're going to be able to park that thing in a Cuddy Black, so it just opens up medium base building quite a bit. And I think when they were just sort of going through the ships of the line that would be done with base building, the Starlancer build just took over for the large base builder and stuff. So I don't think it was anything malicious or anything. I think CIG was just taking a fresh look at what vehicles, what ships were going to build the buildings, and that's how that sort of happened. But again, to his credit, John Crew did fix that rather quickly. So C Daddy says, hanging in there, Graham. Yeah, me as well, buddy. I hope things are good for you right now. I sincerely do. Moving down here, you can see some imagery, and we'll take a look at this. We have the cargo module here, the medical module popping up right there, and then the refinery module. Swinging back here on the cargo module, I suspect this is going to be very similar to the cargo room of a Polaris or a Perseus or something like that. It's probably going to have a tractor beam in the room somewhere that can be controlled, so no big surprises there. It will have an elevator, though, that I think can go down to the ground level. The medical room, I think you would agree, Trist. I think the thinking is this is going to borrow a lot from the Apollo. Would you agree with that?
Yes and no. Do you want to go in deep already?
Sure. Yeah, let's go in deep on the modules, and then yeah, let's go.
Let's go back to cargo.
Yeah, let's go back to cargo. Let's do it.
Do you not think that it will have this tractor thing that it has there on the ceiling, because that was kind of a selling point? At least it felt like it to me.
Here's my thinking on that. I would love if it did. My concern is that whenever CIG shows us something that looks a little different, but that they have a strong baseline in almost every other ship, they almost always revert to the baseline. For example, with the Raylan, originally it was this idea that it was going to sort of bring the cargo down in an interesting way. Well, it ended up just going to tractor beams as normal. So I personally think it's going to be a tractor beam mounted to the ceiling that you control, not these vertical tractor beams, but just a normal tractor beam. That's what I think. But what do you think?
I agree. Even if you just look at the Ironclad, which just had a standard tractor beam moving on 2 axes, now it's just moving on 1 axis because that is what we already have in game. And unfortunately, I think the room is it is not very high.
Yeah.
So I think the setup would be quite helpful. And also visually, it's the only thing that makes this module special. Otherwise, it's just an empty room with boxes. And
Jojo
I guess
says
the elevator is also an important part, but
yeah, Jojo says he'd like a tractor beam that's on the little rail system like the Hermes. The Polaris needs one like that too. Yeah, it's possible. I do think from a cargo standpoint, you're going to put the cargo on the elevator underneath this thing. It's going to come right up, and at that point, the cargo is in the middle of the room essentially. And we'll sort of take an interior look here in a minute, but I think the cargo is going to sort of be in the middle of that room. So hopefully whatever the tractor beam solution is, it's one in which is optimal for moving it from just the center of the room to almost anywhere else in that cargo room. You know what I mean? Versus something like the railing where it makes sense, which I think is one of the better tractor beam placements in quite a while, where the rail and the tractor beams are far off on the legs, which allow you to service both the port and starboard side of the ship from a cargo standpoint really well. It's going to come down, and this is the make or break for a lot of ships. It's going to come down to the little things. One of those being where the tractor beams are placed in this room. You also mentioned there's
the elevator in there that brings up 2 crates.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be pretty slow to load if you have to go 2 crates at a time, compared to like
another good point. Yeah,
compared to like an ironclad, that will take some time.
Because I would imagine that the ship does not sit high enough to stack like 2 32 SCU crates vertically, one on top of the other, so that you could put 4 on there. I doubt you're going to have that much room. So yeah,
and even if you could, it would still take quite a long time.
Yeah. Do you actually, really quick, you talked about the limited ceiling height on this. Do you think the ship is going to grow? Like, if you had to guess, do you think it'll grow?
Tricky. I don't think it has to. But if it does, it needs to grow quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like if you want more cargo in there, for the ironclad, it was like on the brink of fitting more. Here, you would have to make it like a third bigger, I guess. And to make the hangar bigger, people want a bigger hangar for bigger ships. You would have to grow it substantially. So I don't think it will. I think it will stick more or less to the dimensions. But
now, Swan547 does say in chat, and I think it's worth bringing up. Swan says 576 SCU is pretty underwhelming for a ship that's ironclad sized. I hope it gets up by a few dozen at least. I'll say 2 points on that. One, it is a modular ship, so the way CIG has kind of proposed that in the past is that the modular ships don't do it as good as a dedicated ship does. So you would expect some handicap there from a cargo carrying capacity. Now, I will admit to you that the cargo capacity difference between the ironclad and this is substantial. I don't think this is meant to be anywhere near the scale of cargo capacity as the ironclad, but I would say I think it is possible, just through pure creative layout means, I think it's possible that the SCU capacity of the ship could grow a little bit, because they've been doing that on ships in general lately.
Yep, true.
Yeah,
and maybe they should, because that's one of the things about the Galaxy. Taken 4 years, a lot of stuff has changed since that. It was a much more reasonable number back then. These 600 SCU. When that was announced, there was no ironclad, there was no Hull C in game, there was no Starlancer in game. Yeah. It would have been one of the bigger cargo ships.
That's true. Yeah. And it's clear CIG has started to change. And I would love to be on the fly. It's funny. We get a lot of Inside Star Citizens or SCLs where specific ships are talked about, where CIG comes on and they say, okay, we're going to talk about the Hull B today, or we're talking about this ship today. What I would love to get more of is discussions with the ship team on like how internally they are sort of recalibrating their expectations for ships. So because it's been pretty clear to me that they have been trying to go out of their way to maximize cargo for a lot of the cargo ships and like really push it. I mean, if you look at the Hull B, the Hull B is now, God, what is it again? It's 5. Correct me, Chad, if I'm wrong. 512. Okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Hull B now pushing 512 SCU of cargo in a ship of its size. You know what I mean? It does put ships like this in a weird place where you start to go, man, 576 or whatever it's supposed to be really isn't a lot. You know what I mean? However, part of me thinks that CIG doesn't want you to ever look at these ships as, oh, this is this is my cargo ship. I do cargo in the ship. They really want you to look at the ship as it's my modular everything ship. I can really get it to do everything. And so for me, from a value standpoint, it comes into the more modules that are available for this ship, the more valuable it is. The modules that it is going to have, cargo and refinery or refining, those two are really important to me. And I think those two, for me, justify the ownership of the ship. Medical, not so much. But if CIG was to go further and add, manufacturing, fabrication, base building, all that, like if those modules do in fact come, then I would be totally fine with the cargo limitations of this ship, the cargo capacity limitations, because there's so much other gameplay roles I can tap into with the module switching. You know what I mean? Like the sacrifice wouldn't hurt as much. You know what I mean? Then if they just released this as a 110 meter ship that carried 570 some odd SCU of cargo, that would sting.
Yeah.
But you do have to take into account those modules. You really do. It is part of what makes this ship special. It's much in the same way that it's probably not a good idea to only have an Endeavor if you want to do farming, because the strength of the Endeavor is in its modularity. There's going to be plenty of farming ships once farming comes into the game. Trust me, they'll make a ship that is a farming ship that is much smaller than the Endeavor. You know what I mean? It's some of these modular ships, though, the strength lies in the modularity. So you really have to justify the cost of them through that. Let's move on.
Agree, but still the value compared to other ships has reduced a bit since it was announced. Just compared to where it is on the ladder.
Let me ask you this then, since we're on that subject, because we're getting to that time period where people are going to start looking at their fleets. They're going to start figuring out, they're going to start going to Starlet's amazing hangar.link and figuring out what ships they can melt and which ones they can, CCU and stuff to try to get to this ship. People are going to start doing that math in their head. What do you think CIG could do that is realistic to bring up the value a little bit in this ship versus others that have come out since its concept unveiling? And I know that's kind of a broad question because we don't know the future landscape for modules for this thing completely. But are there any small changes, just because you know the ship so well? Are there any small changes to either the interior, exterior, size, accommodations, anything you think they could change to bring that up a little bit?
Yeah, unfortunately, that is different for every single module. So yes, we need more SCU, but maybe not for everything. But I guess if coming down to one thing, adding more space to the back hangar would benefit every single module. Mm-hmm. And if it's just like currently you only have 2 crates in the back, so it's 64 SCU. If you could just stack 3 of them, so you have 90 on each side, so 180 something, and that would then be 680 or something in total. I guess that would be a number that would be a bit more okayish for that price and size, and it would also make the other modules a bit more usable that don't have their own cargo space. Yeah.
Real quick here, Curry Lover Icar66, thank you for those follows from both of you. Do appreciate that. Gasoline Meth reached a 10 stream streak. That's amazing, Gasoline. Hope you're doing well. Gin and Tonic resubscribed. Appreciate that. Thank you all for the support. Do appreciate it. You did bring something up. I'm actually going to check. So Art is back. Art, are you back with us? Hello?
I think I'm back.
Oh, he's back. Let me grab the video link here and plug it in. We can hear you just fine. Let me add your video thing in here so we can see your gorgeous face. All right, everybody. Q art. There he is. Look at that, everybody. Popped right back in. Modern technology at work. You know, Trist, I didn't remember this, but I'm glad you brought it up. Going back to those the tractor beam arrangement in this ship. You are right that it was sort of advertised as something kind of special here. They say tractor cranes effortlessly shift and move cargo of any size. You know, I didn't think about that. It does make me wonder if, and this is going to go into something, we're going to tangent a few times in this discussion, everyone, because I didn't like make like hard and fast show notes about the Galaxy. We're just going to talk about the Galaxy for a while. But there's been a lot of concern lately. And I'm going to swing back to this, but I'm going to bring this image up here, Trist. We were talking about it before show, the bridge. There's been a lot of concern about this image since it was unveiled in the PU monthly report. Mostly complaints saying that, oh, it's a direct copy of the Perseus bridge, or it's using the same seats or whatever. Trist, I think you said you confirmed it is literally the Perseus bridge, right?
Yeah, I just did a stream last week and rebuilt half of it, and I was kind of defending it and said, oh, it's okay, it's just similar because I don't own a Perseus. But just before the stream, I took the Perseus model, put it in there. It's absolutely the same, just that the middle, the bridge with the middle seat there, that is pulled forwards.
Okay. Here's
it. I mean, and the stairs are rotated a bit, but like especially like the struts in the front, it's 100% to these small details there. It's absolutely 100% just the Perseus.
Here's my thing. So when you told me that before stream, I was a little bit like, oh shit, really? I thought it was a little bit, and I was like, damn, okay, it is going to be a lift. But here's the counter to that. And this is why I think we should all wait and see. Okay, we should all wait and see. Because CIG has told us something in the past. Okay, and I know they've told us lots of stuff before. Okay, things change, I get it. But they did tell us something. John Cruz said to us before that one thing these manufacturer kits do for them, okay, is that it allows them to reuse common areas of the ship and put a lot more focus and time and effort into the unique areas of a ship. Okay. My thinking is this is obviously me in my own personal opinion. You may have a different opinion. Doesn't mean you're right or I'm wrong, or I'm right and you're wrong. It's all opinion based. But for me, I would actually be okay with the bridge area being literally a direct lift from the Perseus if, and I'm going to circle back to what we were talking about, if it meant we did get unique stuff like the tractor cranes. You know what I mean? Like if reusing wholesale areas of the Perseus allowed them to spend more time on this cargo module and do something kind of radically different like cargo or like tractor cranes, I'd be okay with that. And that would go right into sort of the line of thinking that CIG said that they were going to use these manufacturer kits for. So I would hand that over to you, Trist. I mean, do you think that's likely?
I don't know if it's likely, but I disagree with your acceptance of that.
Okay.
You already said
I like a challenge.
to me that, yeah, you said that you believe that the Ironclad and Kraken will have the same bridge too, and that's completely fine for me.
To a degree,
that makes sense for me. But here we have a super military ship, the Perseus and the Polaris, and this one is not a military ship. This is supposed to be a civilian, multi-role. They even said Explorer, I think. This is not a military ship. This is not supposed to look the same. So in this case, I think they should look different. And also, the bridge that they have shown was kind of unique. And I think that's quite a step in a different direction. Ship kits is one thing, but completely reusing the cockpit, I think that's a bit much, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm actually going to open an image here. I know there's been people, and I think, well, real quick, I think that's a fair point. I actually think that's a very fair point. And that's why I said, look, I may have an opinion on this, but I actually do respect the people who sort of have the opposite opinion. Because, and I translate this right over into and this would be the case with any ship that someone is really looking forward to. Like, I'm really looking forward to the Kraken. Obviously, I don't want them to shortcut anything. I'm actually a little nervous about how much they're going to use from the Ironclad when I know that's the entire point, right? I think anyone who's really looking forward to a ship, you want every room and every part of it to be special and amazing. But with these RSI bridges, I know a lot of people were a little disappointed in the Perseus bridge, and then they've seen this Galaxy bridge. I actually, going all the way back to when we got the original reveal of the new internal layout of the Polaris, that's when I knew CIG was going different with RSI bridges. Because if you go to this image here, I'm going to share this image. This is the original concept image of the Polaris bridge. And it's one of the things I loved. I specifically loved how the bridge stations like this are sunk down into the floor, and they had these huge consoles. I loved that. And I did a whole thing about when they were showing off the new Polaris. I was like, damn, we lost those consoles. And then the Perseus came out. We lost them again. Then the Galaxy, again, to me, it's just, I sort of have mentally prepared myself when all the way back when the Polaris came out that, okay, CIG's going somewhere very different with RSI stuff. That is very clear. I would say I would love if we got the chunky consoles back for just, and I know it goes further than that with bridge layouts, but that's obviously one of the big major things. The only thing I can say is I still have hope with Consolidated Outlet and Drake that the bridge stations will still be really fun and chunky. I do think when it came to the Polaris, the Perseus, and with the Galaxy, I think the RSI design language change was specifically to allow maximum visibility and sort of like an open bridge kind of concept. You brought up the Ironclad. If the Ironclad is any indication, especially thinking the command deck of the Ironclad, I did a size, sort of like what you did with the Perseus and Galaxy. With the Ironclad, I took the Ironclad command bridge and scaled it with the Kraken. It's almost an exact match scale-wise to the Kraken bridge. Now, the Kraken bridge is a double-decker bridge, but in terms of its like boundary sizes, it's the same. It's like really close. So all I'm saying is I get it. You know, when they start reusing stuff, it can get tricky. But again, one benefit is they're getting these ships off the backlog, I guess. You know what I mean? And one would hope with how well the Perseus came out, because I think that's pretty universally loved, one would hope that the Galaxy, when it does arrive, is going to have all the benefits of a well thought out, well optimized, well built out RSI manufacturer kit. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, to be fair too, that image of the Galaxy bridge, it was untextured. There's still some areas of it that look relatively rough and possibly a little bit placeholder. So we could maybe see some changes beyond this. Possible. But I agree with you. The Perseus is a military ship. This is not supposed to be a military ship. It would be a little strange if there wasn't at least some design changes between the two bridges. I hope it's not just a full-on lift.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see.
Do you want to show the original bridge real quick?
Yeah, do I? Let me find that really quickly. Let me pull that up. I do. Oh yeah, you know what? It's probably on here, right? Yeah, here it is. Here it is. That is the original Galaxy bridge. And again, you see it's got the big consoles. The front station is sitting forward, all that kind of good stuff. And they just very much moved away from it.
I have to say that, like, from a visual, not a visual standpoint, from a visibility standpoint, the new one is obviously much better because here only the front two can't see anything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the style. They could just, by using different textures, they could make it feel different. But I think it would not be too hard to have the layout like a slightly bit different and still save a lot of time on that.
Yeah. Actually, Art, let me ask you, because you are someone who, the Polaris, I believe, is your favorite ship. You also have a lot of love for the Perseus. It's
Nope.
not like I don't remember you ever saying you like bought those ships because you were so in love with the concept bridges. But as someone who enjoys those ships a lot and uses them a lot in fleet combat scenarios, how do you feel the bridge layouts as they currently are in game? How do you think they function just from a gameplay standpoint? Are you happy with them?
I mean, function wise, yeah, I like them. I think they're efficient, quick in and out. Very, there's not a lot of things that we have to kind of wiggle around in between. I got to worry about getting stuck on a console while the chair's trying to rotate out and everything else.
Good point.
That being said, I do understand the difference between a military ship and a civilian-esque ship, and I would not be expecting to take this ship into combat as much. If only in like a support role. But yeah, I can't say that I'm overly surprised. Again, the main goal is they make money off these ships.
Yeah.
So the faster they get ships out, the faster they make money.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the more money they get, the better the project is funded, hopefully.
Yeah. And I think there's a desire to get the backlog done. I actually do think there's an internal desire at CIG for that to happen. I personally, I don't think, the Mark Gibsons and the John Crews and the Ben Curtises of the world, I actually don't think they want to be sitting on these old promises. And some of those ships they had nothing to do with. You know what I mean? I know as a designer, I wouldn't want that. And by the way, some of you heard Trispone say the 2 front seats. He was referring to this front seat way up here that's a little difficult to see. There's actually another seat. You can see the person's head right here. There's actually 2 forward seats right there, in case you weren't aware.
Because people were talking about that, there's also 4 seats in the new Galaxy image.
Yeah, is there? Okay, let's let me bring that back up.
You can see like a tiny outline of another one in front.
Oh yeah, you can see something up there. Yep. Yeah. So it probably will still have the same seat layout, but it's very much taking bridge cues from the Perseus and Plus. Here's what I would say about my criticism of the bridge. I mean, again, I'm fine with them reusing personally. My criticism of the RSI large bridge is that it's almost, I've said this before when CIG unveiled those Kraken bridge seats, right? Which is, and I would say, and I would also say the same when CIG unveiled the white box work they had done on the Pioneer. When you walk onto the bridge of some of these ships, I do think that should be a really special moment. Like you should walk on and go, oh, okay, I'm on the bridge of a Polaris. I'm on the bridge of a Pioneer. Like there should be kind of a little bit of a moment for you, especially if you're a player that, let's say you've just been playing your starter ship, okay? Someone invites you on board, you walk onto the bridge stations or to the bridge for the first time to one of these ships. There should be that moment where you're like, oh, okay, this is no Avenger Titan. You know what I mean? This is really a level up. Well, and I would say that's my only criticism of the Perseus bridge, especially. The Polaris bridge a little bit, but the Polaris bridge does have some special stuff in it. But there is a little bit of this kind of like, it's a little bit like slightly underwhelming. It's still cool, but it's slightly underwhelming, right? And a lot of that is just due to aesthetic, like the RSI manufacturer aesthetics. It's very obvious they've really leaned into sort of this like clean, overlapping panel, high-tech sort of look, versus other manufacturers that CIG tends to be taking another way. So, for example, Drake and Consolidated Outlands sort of have this sort of like, I guess you'd call it like brutalist kind of vibe with these like heavy girders and big supporting structures. So it feels a little grander. One thing I do think helps the Polaris, though, going back to that, is that when you first walk onto the bridge, there's that really cool moment of when you first walk in, you're presented with the hollow globe, right? You get that hollow globe, you walk past the hollow globe down to the seats, and you sort of walk downstairs onto that level. And I think that's a nice entry. The Perseus, you don't really get that. And I doubt that the Galaxy you're going to get that. I think it just mentally feels a little bit underwhelming. You know what I mean? But again, there's also something to be said for the little things like you brought up, Art, which is, okay, is it easy to get in and out of this seat, or do I need a much longer animation, to get in and out, this, that, and the other. But yeah, we'll have to see. I do think it's interesting based on where we're at with the pipeline. The ship, I believe, going in Galaxy is in gray box now, but it's an untextured image here. I think that is interesting based off where this ship is at. It's possible this is an older image and that the bridge has changed a bit. So I don't think we should read everything into this image. I mean, if you look, it's quite obvious some things were sort of chopped together. As a matter of fact, I even see some geometry here that's like out of alignment and rotated and clipping and all kinds of stuff here. So I don't know what state this bridge layout is here.
What if they did this just to kind of build some conversation behind it, to show a later image? Be like, this is where we were, and then maybe we get something in September that's...
It's possible, but it comes down to time. I mean, this ship launches in November, and where are we at? So we're in mid-August, so September, October, November. I mean, we're mere months away from this ship. You know what I mean? I personally, I think, and I know you guys said you agree with this. Personally, I think the ship's further along than what we think. You got to remember this image here specifically is from a month ago because it's last month's PU monthly report. So one would assume they've pushed past this. But what I think this is really going to show us is how the manufacturer kits can be expected to be used going forward, how much CIG is going to lean on those. For example, there's still other RSI ships we're waiting on. Let's take the next most likely one, the Arastra, right? Will the Arastra borrow heavily from this bridge layout? Probably so, because if you've ever looked at it, it's very similar to like the Galaxy bridge, right? I think it does have some extra stations in there, like in the rear of the bridge, if I'm not mistaken, but it's, hey, Xenon, hope you're well, buddy. But we'll see. And, adjust your expectations accordingly. Let's move on to the next module, though. I want to keep going here. Next module, the medical module. Trist, what are your thoughts on this? I brought up the Apollo, and this probably borrowing pretty heavily from that. I still think that's probably going to be the case, with the added benefit of we'll still have this lift in the center where you could put like a nurse or some supporting medical vehicle in there. But what is your thoughts on the medical module for this ship? Do you think what we're going to essentially see is a lift? Obviously some design differences because the layout changed, but essentially a lift of the Apollo module, or are you expecting something more here?
I hope that they will stick completely to the layout they have shown us, but just use the assets of the Apollo. I think the walls and stuff, they will look pretty much the same, but the layout should stick to what they've shown us because it's asymmetrical. Yeah. But I think the problem is a bit the same that we talked about earlier. This was super exciting when it was first announced, but now the Apollo is out, and so it's not really bringing anything exciting new.
Yeah.
It's not bigger than the Apollo. It is not. Yeah.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, though, this one can't talk today. This one can be outfitted or is outfitted with 2 tier 1s, or am I wrong on that? Is it still just the 1 tier 1?
I always mix up. Tier 1 is the good one, right?
I believe tier 1's a good one, yeah.
Okay, so it has 1 tier 1, 2 tier 2s, and 3 tier 3s.
Okay.
And that means that it has that the Apollo can have more smaller beds, or can have more of the good beds, but the Galaxy has the most variety and can has the most in total.
Right. And has the added
room
benefit
for everything, but
right. And has the added benefit, obviously, of being able to have a snub ship in the back hangar or a ground vehicle to help facilitate patients if needed. Yeah. Let me ask you this without tangenting too far, because I think there could be an entire show on this next topic. And Art, feel free to chime in on this as well. But I was watching who was I watching today? I was watching Dusty Stars, Thrusters and Dust today, and the guest he had on was talking about the Apollo and how the medical gameplay changes led him to melt that ship, one that he had been looking forward to. Without going too deep into it, Trist, what do you think CIG should do for medical gameplay that makes this ship feel needed beyond an Apollo, or even something? I would go so far, Steven, something like just a C8R or something.
That's tough.
I have an idea, but I want to let you go first.
It's tough because I think for these standard missions where you just help people here and there, it's too big.
Yeah,
you can't just like it. You can basically just heal big groups, and it doesn't make sense to pick up patients from everywhere and then bring them to Orison. Everyone would be like on their way for hours.
Yeah.
So I think make fleet battles that need a lot of respawning or healing. But that's tricky. I think this is a bit. I think medical was not completely thought through when this was designed.
Yeah, and obviously medical's gone over some serious changes. Now CIG claims they weren't, but I went back and looked at the notes pretty heavily. It's very clear medical did change. Now, one thing, and Rabbit says it in chat, and this is what I've been thinking for a long time. I do think it would be cooler if these larger medical ships, and I would probably include the Apollo in that, but the Apollo or any ship that can do a tier 1 bed, I think if that unlocked, things like prosthetic and cybernetic limb replacement would be really cool. I think certain medical ships should have additional medical features, like maybe some medical ships. And CIG could do this by just changing some elements within the ship. Some of these medical ships, for example, would be cool if they had a medical crafting machine in them. You know what I mean? Which is something we know we're going to get. We know we're getting a medical crafting machine, but I could see something like a Galaxy. I know you'll be able to put the crafting machines in them manually. I get that. But imagine if it had built into it not only a medical, like medicine crafting machine, but also a sustenance crafting machine, like one that could create food, food and drink and all that kind of stuff. No, I'm not talking like a vending machine, but there's been talk of crafting machines that can create, food and all that kind of stuff, medicines. And again, I think building in additional medical gameplay or actor status gameplay into some of these larger tier medical ships could be one added benefit that would make them worth it. Ultimately, I think the change needs to be related, or I think there needs to be a change implemented, and maybe this is the plan, where in the future, when we get our new social tools and org systems, in the future, I would like it is if your character died, and let's say your imprint options pop up, if there is an org ship, like someone in your org who is flying around a medical ship and has a beacon out of some type, and maybe it's a ship-based beacon that's essentially they're open for business, that is one of your imprint, rejuvenation options. Now, one would argue, why would you respawn there instead of at a place where you can access a ship? I don't know. There could be reasons. It just depends. But regardless, I think that would be an interesting thing for them to do. See, it is very clear, though, that CIG needs to at some point revisit medical gameplay and expand it beyond what the current scope is. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. We'll see.
I think it needs to be somewhere between, and I'll use a reference that you're familiar with, but somewhere in between what we have in Arma.
Yeah.
What Arma had, when you took an injury, it wasn't just, I've been shot.
Yeah.
Like, I have to come up, I have to assess you.
Mm-hmm.
Then, okay, all right, you've got this injury. Okay, now I've diagnosed it. Now I need to stabilize you. And this is something that needs to be,
the wrong medical attention could kill you.
Right.
Yeah. The correct medical attention at the wrong rate could send you into cardiac arrest. I mean, there was it was essentially a balancing act. It was a seesaw, and you're trying to keep the patient in the middle balanced, but it could tip either way. And I think that was sort of the genius of it.
Well, and the higher tier beds can do more for you because there's a point when you get injured so much that you can't be, you shouldn't just be able to just get med gun back up after so many injuries.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where you have to be, lifted, you have to be carried, you have to be whatever, taken to a bed to be, and that would give us a reason to have a medic with us to carry that extra equipment that takes up some of those other weapon slots or tool slots with that armor
Mhm.
that you're not going to be able to, be a jack of all trades. You've got to kind of pick and choose.
Yeah.
And then, maybe, compensate them in some way with, maybe when they run missions and stuff, they get extra whatever, extra rep towards something or extra, money on top of it for being a medic. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think that both the cargo and the medical module, I think, are two modules we can kind of, for all intents and purposes, say are a guarantee that we'll be getting those when the Galaxy goes flight ready. I think you'd both agree with that. The medical module, it just needs to, at this point, just needs to essentially does what the Apollo does, and the cargo module is a cargo module. But for the sake of time, let's move on to the next one. I think it is the more interesting discussion here in regards to the modular rooms, and that is the refinery module. I guess as the Galaxy expert, Trist, I would throw this one over to you. And I know there's the $1 million question of, are we getting this module at flight ready? And if we are, does that mean refining is coming much sooner than anyone would probably expect? So I guess let's start there. What do you think of the refinery module? And do you think we're going to even get it when the ship goes flight ready?
So, I mean, first of all, it's obviously the most interesting one, not only visually because there's so much stuff in it.
Yeah.
But also it would be the only one that would be like a ship seller right now because it brings something that we have not anywhere else. It is quite, it has, I can't remember if it's 2 or 4 reactors.
Mm-hmm.
So it has rather big reactors compared to an Arastra, but fewer. So it can run bigger jobs, but fewer different ones at the same time. Apart from that, we don't know enough about this to really talk about it. I can only say that the layout is incredibly cool. There's like ladders here, you can walk up there. There's it's not just a room as in the other ones. This one's really super interesting and super. There could be a lot of there's a station on the second floor there. Gameplay wise, this could be really fun.
Yeah, there's like a station up here and the top here. It's a little bit cut off from my screen, but
there's another one on the opposite side. And then there's also, I'm not sure about that, but I think there's also like a small lift or something. Could be. I'm not sure if it's mentioned, but even if not, there is like an intake on the exterior that can directly take in material from the prospector.
Yeah, and there is an
possibly
image
other ships
of that. Is it on here? Let's see. Let me go to it. I thought it was on. It might be in here.
Should be in there somewhere.
Let me bring it up.
That specifically, that one.
Let me bring it up.
That did specifically mention the prospector only. I think that's just because it was the only one at the time. But taking them in directly would be a bit of a time saver.
Actually, Trist, you were bringing up those tractor cranes. This technically has the same tech, which makes me wonder if is kind of a bit of a requirement.
Why?
Because with a tractor beam, like just a traditionally mounted tractor beam out here, pulling those cargo bags up and getting them up into this location is going to be so janky. If you could just pull the prospector underneath and this vertical tractor crane just lifts it up and straight up, would be so much more, so much more of a smoother experience. And what I'm saying is if they have these sort of vertical tractor cranes, then it would make sense that they have those in the cargo area as well. So who knows? Maybe that is a priority for this ship.
Right, but this is only on the exterior, so the bags don't go inside ever.
True. Yeah, true.
So you could do it with a traditional tractor beam if you wanted to. And I think there's only 2 intakes. I could be wrong, but I think there's only 2 intakes at the same time. So would be doable with a classical tractor beam at least.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it would be a time saver because you wouldn't have to get the bags off and then put new ones on. You could just put them on there, get them quickly emptied, and then put them straight back on.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the idea, I think.
It's interesting to me that CIG did not add an option for, and again, maybe they want that friction in there where you're literally pulling the bag, the material bags off. But it's almost, we have the refueling tech. I almost could have seen a version where you could pull the bags off manually like that, or you could connect some sort of transfer arm ship to ship, much like you do refueling, that can transfer material straight from the bags onto the other ship. That way you're not moving the bags itself. Again, obviously CIG didn't go that way. It just kind of ran into my mind as we were looking at this image. So, yeah, refining. I mean, I think that the thing with refining is it coming by IAE? And I still am actually pretty hopeful that it will. I would say I'm about 75%. We will get sort of a base level ship refining in game by IAE. Part of the thinking there is that generally, during IAE, there's, and sometimes during CitizenCon, which I know we're not getting this year, there's additional like gameplay features that roll out. CIG tries to bring on something for those events. And you bring up something really interesting there, Trist, where you say it would be a really good selling point for this ship, some new gameplay that attaches to it. And I agree with you. I think that would be the thing that moved this ship, because right now the medical's not really going to do it. The cargo could do it, but again, it's not the best cargo carrier at this scale. So it is in a really weird place. And I have to wonder if, and I know someone said in chat, Citizen Wake says no word on the Expanse though. True. We, in the leaks list, we did not get anything about the Expanse, but here's the thing. Ship-based refining could just come with this ship first. Maybe the Expanse comes next year or Q1 next year. I mean, there's nothing that says that CIG has to release the Expanse day one with refining either. I mean, I think it would be silly if they didn't, because it's the starter, but there's nothing saying, actually JoJo's right. The Galaxy wasn't mentioned in that list either. That's exactly right. And that's a great point.
Well,
so we'll just have to see.
Didn't the Prospector, when it first came out, didn't it come out as the only mining ship too initially? Or did the Mole come out alongside it?
No, Prospector came first, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I believe Prospector came first. Yeah.
So it's not the first time we've had a single ship kind of.
Well, yeah, and remember at one time, and I was one of these people, the Prospector to all of us was the starter. And then CIG said, oh no, actually there's these like starters. They're like the smaller, ships. So who knows? Yeah, Jade Star Watcher says Prospector came first, not long after 3.0. Yeah, thanks, Jade. I mean, here's the other thing that you got to remember. Whenever you think CIG is following some method to the madness, they then make a right-hand turn and do the opposite. So it makes people like me or Trist or even Art or execute anybody who like tries to predict things. It makes speculation very hard, because the moment you think they're going to do this thing, they go and do that thing. So, who knows? But yeah, I hadn't really thought about that way. I just been thinking of refining gameplay as something that, I really hope it comes. I think it would come. But again, as you said, Trist, at this point, I almost think it has to, because it is the major selling feature of this ship. Especially
that module.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if they are reusing big pieces of the Perseus. It also is another thing that kind of takes away a little bit of the specialness of this, right? Just sort of the new ship stuff. So yeah, it sort of becomes an important thing. Next question. I open this up to everyone. Chat, feel free to chime in. But do we think we could be, let's say if refining isn't coming, do you think CIG could drop a different module? Specifically, we know that one of the ships on the ship leak list, and we're going to talk about it here shortly, the MFC, the manufacturing fabrication version of that little ground vehicle. Does that mean that CIG's finally fixed the whole you can fabricate on a ship from the cargo grid sort of thing? And if that's the case, could the manufacturing module be coming? And as a placeholder for refining, we know CIG addressed, I think it was John Crew addressed the issue with the Clipper being able to craft on its crafting machine because it can't pull from the cargo grid and you can't transfer and it can't print to the cargo grid of the ship. But he said that was just a tech feature that needed to be solved. I imagine CIG solved that or is very close to solving it. What do you guys think? Do you think the manufacturing module could be a surprise module that they drop with a couple crafting machines in there?
Certainly sell better than all the other three combined.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
yeah.
Go ahead, Tris.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna, yeah. I mean, I absolutely think that that's something that's going to happen, because it would be difficult for them not to have another selling point on this. So I think that really pushing manufacturing, maybe with the ship-based manufacturing, maybe we're starting to get a higher tier of manufacturing a little bit, maybe some more components, maybe some capital ship stuff that can get crafted.
Yep.
That can actually be put into capital ships. I know we have stuff now in the blueprints, but you can't put them in, so there's no point in using them. But
and JoJo's right.
Yeah.
JoJo says, don't know why they would work on the MFC and the Auxilla if that feature wasn't due soon. And I think that's the kind of the big light bulb moment with that. If we're not getting, and here's the thing, I would think we're hearing about refining soon. The concerning part is we haven't seen refining gameplay hit like the tech preview channels or anything like that, which is a little concerning. At the same time, I don't think refining is maybe as complicated as a task because we already sort of have refining in game. It's just not ship-based. But yeah, it seems like the most likely scenario. If we don't get refining, I could see us getting the manufacturing fabrication module. And I think that would make a lot of people happy. Like you said, Trist, I think it would be a very popular module. So,
Sure.
Yeah. Real quick here, some additional images of the ship here from an internal perspective. And then we can sort of take a look, maybe Trist will share his screen and we can take a look at some of his interior speculation, and you can talk about through, some of the unique areas of the ship, like its back hangar and stuff like that, Trist. I think, some of those areas, it's funny, the back hangar, that rear hangar on the Galaxy, it's one of the first things people talk about when they talk about this ship. They're very excited for that. And hey, no hate, I get it. Sometimes those little quirks about a ship can be everything. I have my own with certain ships that are out there. But yeah, maybe we can talk a little bit about its interior layout, Trist, if you want to kind of lead us through that. I don't know if you want to share your screen because... And I think it's important for everyone to know this. I told you we'd have a good viewership numbers. We'd have good viewership numbers tonight because Trist is on. So we got 300 watching on YouTube, which is amazing. Over on Twitch, we got 211. I brought out the celebrities tonight. I got Art and Trist on. So let me switch. Let me put your image here real big. Stand by. There we go. Okay, so Trist's screen is going to be duplicated here, everyone. That's how I just have this set up. Hopefully you can all deal with that. But Trist, maybe you can walk us through why you decided to build out the Galaxy interior, and then maybe walk us through the ship a little bit.
I can't remember. It was just a...
He's traumatized from it.
No, it was just a quick, that ship came out, the blueprints came out. I just thought, hey, wouldn't it be fun to just do a quick 2-hour rebuild of the floor layout, just just the floor, and then I don't know, people. No, actually, I didn't even show it to anyone. I just thought, hey, that's kind of cool. Let's rebuild the whole thing completely with walls and details and stuff. And I think I didn't publish anything before I had the complete layout. That changed with the Ironclad, obviously, but for this one, I just started and couldn't stop, I guess, because it is an interesting layout.
Yeah.
That's the inside, actually. We talked about the size. That's quite interesting. This
Actually,
is-
can we speak to that a little bit, because I do think that's interesting on some of these RSI ships. Especially, I would put the Perseus in this category too. They're really, I think they're the diamond kind of arrowhead shape is a really hard shape to utilize fully. You know what I mean? Just from an interior space standpoint.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
And I think this might even be the worst of the three. If you look closely from the back here, you can see this is all hollow. So basically, these sides here, it's just fluff. That's the interior is this part here.
Right.
So a lot of unused space just because of the shape of this thing. Have a look again. This is what's inside. It's
very
compared
compact.
to the Ironclad, a lot of unused triangular spaces.
Yeah. Well, go ahead and walk us through. I'll let you start where you want to start, but maybe take us on a little bit of a I know it's sometimes hard to navigate these models. We obviously have your website too that I can switch over to, but do you want to just sort of walk us through your idea of some of the more interesting places, maybe in the interior, or anything you feel like is worthy to point out? Obviously, we don't need to see every nook and cranny, but anything just interesting you think about the interior of the ship that is worth talking about?
I'm not prepared for that.
And I should say, everyone, we did not have show notes. We're just winging this shit tonight. Tris didn't know what we were talking about. I didn't really know. I just got back from traveling today. I just drove home today. So we are doing this live. It's messy. We're just talking. So yeah, Tris, you don't have to be super prepared. Just whatever you think is maybe worth talking about. And I'm going to pull up your interior walkthrough site here while you're talking.
Yeah. That is a bit prettier, but it's the same model.
Yeah.
I guess the first thing that I find interesting compared now to the Ironclad that I spent a lot of time on, this is it's a lot more straightforward when it comes to walkways. You have just 2 floors, 1, 2, and there's one way up in the front and one in the back. It's very simple. You won't get as lost as much as in the Ironclad. Big talking point obviously is the big hangar in the back. That's the only room that spans 2 floors.
And you have access to no matter which module's in, obviously.
Yes, because the module is on the bottom here, and so that can be accessed from the hangar and from the front. But ultimately you can't really take it out. There will always be something there, but it is not directly connected other than by these 2 doors. But the hangar has so many like small little windows to look into the hangar. I think that is why so many people like it. It's not just a hangar. It's just so interesting that you can look at it from every single angle.
Yeah.
It's a cool hangar.
Yeah.
It is a hangar that is a bit, the layout is a bit, I don't know. That is one of the things that might change quite a lot. All these beams on the sides, they restrict a lot what you can put in there. And a lot of people, I remember when it came out, complained that it is useless because it can only fit, what was it? The MPUV and the...
And I think like the C8, CR, or C8.
I think that was it. I think they only announced it fitting these 2 ships. That is one of the parts of the ship that has been improved since concept, because now we have the Golem in 2 variations. We have the Salvation, the Pitbull, and the Fury if they are useful. But especially I think the Golem and the Salvation, that's a great match here with the refinery module. That makes this a lot more interesting, because when it came out, you couldn't put a ship for refining or mining inside. So now you can. That's obviously,
and the thinking
is
that we're going to have hopefully doors big enough to move, the resource gathering bags from some of those ships or containers through the main doors and into the refinery area. Obviously, there's a little bit of a choke point there. One would think that CIG is a little bit forward thinking and puts a door there that we can move big stuff through, I would hope.
I expect it to be big enough.
Okay.
That's a pretty wide door. I mean, we never know, but it's quite a wide door that should kind of work, I guess.
Okay.
And I mean, this is the
Mm-hmm.
from the golem, the
Yeah, the back containers for the golem. Yeah.
the salvation, which is RSI. Does it even have external? Well, it's smaller, right? It has smaller boxes.
Yeah. The salvation. Yes, I actually haven't checked it in game in a while. I can't forget. We have the fortune, and which is the salvage, right? No, I'm thinking wrong. Fortune is mining, right? I can't remember. No, fortune is salvage.
Fortune is salvage.
Salvage, yeah. I'm getting my industrial ships mixed up, people. I do have that walkthrough ready as well.
Yeah, then you just walk through.
Okay, let me switch over here. Stand by. All right, maybe you can tell people what I'm switching over to really quickly here. And I'm going to switch over. Here we go. All right, here we go. So we are starting from the airlock here on the port side. So we're kind of walking through that area. Door opens. To our left will be the bridge. To the
Old
right.
one, obviously.
Yep. And we'll go, you're right, the old one, of course. Yeah, I like these bridge stations. Those are cool. And here you can see that forward one. Really cool visual out the front. I mean, again, like the Perseus, seeing your ship, out in front of you, much like the Idris, the Perseus, etc. I think is just a really cool visual. We're going to get that with other ships in the future too. It's going to be super cool. But here's our bridge area. Moving backwards, what do we have? Actually, we got across the hall from our airlock. We have another door.
It's the elevator going down.
That's the elevator going down. I imagine that goes all the way to exit the ship.
No.
No? Okay.
It doesn't. No, that just goes down one floor. That is to the engineering section and also to the module.
Okay.
Go in. We can talk about the surface exit later, but that's somewhere else.
Okay.
It could change, obviously, right? Could change.
Absolutely
but,
change. Yeah. We have those skylights that you've seen on the exterior of the ship. Some of you have seen some of those in the models. It looks like they open up in terms of just position on these two rooms. So what room is this? Just general habitation room, kitchen. Yep.
Yeah, kitchen on that side. I didn't model the kitchen like faucet and stuff.
Sure.
And then there use your billiard table and your...
Cool. I do like how accessible all this is from the bridge. It's just kind of walking straight back and getting all that. I kind of like that. Okay, we move
I'm not sure if there will be doors.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I mean, I guess we could have some components and stuff possibly built in here. I don't know.
Sure.
Okay, and then we got
if you go straight.
Hallways. Okay, straight.
You have a hallway. If you go straight, you have your captain's room.
Okay.
And that is obviously looking straight to the bridge, which is very cool.
Which is
like
very
from your
cool,
desk, you can look to the bridge. That's your bathroom and bed.
Right. Bridge looking out, or desk here looking out to the bridge. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then next to that, you have your crew rooms. There's 5 of them.
Okay.
They all look the same.
Cool.
Tiny with a small shower.
So these are kind of like individual habs then? I didn't realize that on this ship. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so you have 5 of them.
Okay.
They have their own bathrooms with this like different to the Ironclad.
Mm-hmm.
Here there's something missing here.
So you have 2 more habs on the other side then, and then there's
3 more.
On both sides.
3
there's a walkway. 3 more. Okay, gotcha. There's these back doorways that then come out. You have
that's
hallway
symmetrical
off to the left. Okay, the symmetrical.
Here's something missing.
Okay.
If you look at the end of the corridor, there's nothing there, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a station there and also a small window that I have in one of the later videos.
Okay.
But I forgot that in the original design. But there's a tiny small window looking out, and it looks pretty much onto the gun on the side.
Oh,
of the
very
ship.
cool. Yeah.
But you won't see much.
I'm all for CIG putting more outside windows on the ships. Then obviously this looks out to this is the hangar. This is our rear hangar. You were talking about the windows looking out to that, which is a really nice feature. Again, I think people like that. This wraps around, as you said. We have another window that sort of looks out to the hangar. Very cool. Doors back here. These doors lead to a stair or a ladder. Sorry, I'm learning how to navigate here.
And on the opposite side, it's an elevator, I think.
Okay. Come out. There's the bottom side.
Wait, you have to acknowledge that I made a ladder that didn't kill you.
That's true. That's true. Well done. Looks like there is a door
janky,
here that goes out. See, here's
That's
the thing. This hangar looks really tall.
It is very tall.
Oh,
It is
that's
way
pretty
too tall
cool.
for anything that they have advertised. And that's what I said earlier about the boxes. You can only put one box on each side. There's space for at least 3, right?
Yeah.
So
it's very
currently there are no
possible.
tall ships. That
Go ahead.
makes sense there. There's currently no ships that really make use of this.
Yeah. Move forward here. This is the bigger door here that leads to the modular area. Obviously, you got sort of
It's currently empty.
Yep, empty.
So that's no module.
No module. I mean, you could sort of ideate based off this what the cargo will sort of be like, just in terms of like the amount of room you have to play with for the most part. So very cool.
You can switch modules though if you want to.
Oh, nice. How do you switch modules?
Go back to the hangar.
Okay, let me go back to the hangar. Everyone give it up for Trispone for making this. This is pretty cool.
And then to the right, and to that room
This one
there.
here? Okay.
And there's a terminal there.
Okay, let's see, where's my... Okay, there we go. Okay. All right, E to swap. Okay, so this is cargo module. Medical module. Let's look at the medical module real quick. Shimpasta said release the Kraken. He won the word of the day. Medical module here. Oh, that's very cool. Obviously our center lift. The medical rooms, which will most likely be cloned, obviously with different bed layouts.
Not completely. This one is the 3 smaller beds on this side. So the tier 3, I think it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then also, this is one of the few areas that is not symmetrical. There's a little bit of a room here.
Oh,
I didn't put anything, but it's like a small storage cupboard, whatever room.
Yeah.
That connects to that big central room.
Okay.
That is the same in every single module. So this is part of the base ship.
Okay.
and
What do
not
you
of the
think is
module
going to be
itself.
what do you think is going to be done from this room?
Tractor beam mostly.
Yeah, probably tractor beam. I could see that.
And,
Tractor beam,
and also the,
elevator controls,
Elevator. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
stuff
Okay.
like that.
And so this
But
medical
this side
room
is a
here
bit
does
different.
not have it. Okay.
It has it has 2 doors. So I don't know the English word. It's for decontamination and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so here you have the tier 2 beds, and then another room for the tier 1 bed.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, cool. So slightly different layout then on this side. Okay, cool. Let's go back and take a look at the refining module. We think we know what the cargo sort of module looks like. All right, refinery. Let's go check that out. How cool is it to tour this ship before we have it? Oh yeah. It's definitely a more, like, when you walk in this room, it feels like there is something radically different going on in here, which is cool. Obviously our refining machines and the sort of like gantry walkways you were talking about with the stations up top here.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
Do you know what these things in the corners could be?
Oh, I don't. That's a good question.
Me neither.
I would say maybe output. Could it be?
But wouldn't that be right there where he's looking right now?
Right, these areas here.
Maybe their input then.
Could be, yeah. You're right. But also that in the corner could be an input. There's something there's something. I guess you could put one of these saddlebags into that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But
and
we don't know.
Pull from that. Because technically you could put one on each side, and each section there is handling one side of whatever you're working on.
Is it possible, and I'm just referencing the Polaris, is it possible these 2 sides here are just freight elevators that exit exterior of the ship?
Not really.
No?
Because I think the underside of the ship is pretty angled, and only the middle has like a flat surface for an elevator.
Okay.
So if there is one, it would have to be in the middle. Otherwise, a lot of people have said that you could just make the whole cargo module an elevator, like on the Connie.
Right.
That would make it a lot easier to load, but that would be super impossible from the bottom side of the ship because it just isn't flat.
Mm-hmm. Well, chat,
I guess
there you go. You can theory craft about what these areas might be, when we get the ship.
Some people when I first released this years ago, someone said out of fun it could be a recharging station for a mech suit. And now we have those mech suits that can actually do they can gather resources. So actually, could be something.
It could be really cool, right? Yeah, it could be really cool. And here's the thing. I mean, there's nothing to state that in the future there isn't some, sort of the next step of those mech suits, because I definitely don't think we've seen the last of, those and like further evolutions of them. I do think CIG is going to take them further than just the ATLS suits. Yeah, this room is very cool. Obviously, moving back, we have that same sort of control room. Very cool. This takes us back into the ship. Now, what is this area here? Are we one
to the right would be the elevator.
Okay.
Do you wanted to take earlier?
Gotcha. Okay. Yep, that's that elevator that goes up to the top floor. What would be over here? Anything?
Nothing.
Nothing. Okay.
And then there you have one room, which I think is just like... I'm not sure that there wasn't much description. I think it was just lockers and suits and like preparing you for the surface.
Okay, sort of like an armory, I guess.
Armory, yeah.
Suit
I don't think they called it armory because it's not a military ship,
right,
but ultimately, yes, I guess something like that.
Okay.
But I don't know. Could change. Obviously, I think this whole front...
Pretty big area, right?
It is. There's a lot of space here to do something with it. I think this front section will change a lot.
Let me ask you this. Well, actually, let's keep moving forward. What's forward here? This is...
That's the last room. That is components.
Okay, components.
And in the corner, there's your small surface elevator.
Oh, okay. Yep, right here. Let me ask you, going back to this room, and we were talking about ways to plus this ship up, give it that extra value. What if half of this was a small medical room? It's got the space. I know that we have the medical module, which taps into a gameplay loop, right? But I almost wonder if this could be more just like a crew-based, simple medical module, or not medical module, but medical clinic room for when you're doing other stuff like refining gameplay, cargo gameplay. It would be the first time CIG did anything like that. That'd be like kind of strange, maybe. But we also don't have a lot of modular ships in the game at this scale, so we don't really know how CIG is going to treat like the rules of modularity. You know what I mean? For example, if it has a medical module, does that mean it can't have a small, one bed clinic on? I don't know. I have to see.
Sure.
It's for the amount of interior space there is quite a bit of room in this ship. And obviously, as we've seen, there's that room that has sort of additional space that CIG could do something interesting with. Jojo says, I think that front area will evolve into a main engineering room, perhaps the other image shown in the monthly report. Yeah, possibly. And I think it's actually, let me bring that other image up really quick. This room right here is the one that Jojo's referring to. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the room. And what you see in the front there is, I think, that small surface elevator.
Yeah. So they could make the main engineering area for the ship near the front. That'd be kind of interesting because we don't really have that. But at the same time, the engines are sort of out on nacelles with this ship versus integrated directly into the hull. So yeah, it could make sense. That could be dedicated to engineering. I could totally see that. It's so funny because engineering gameplay sort of got moved down on the the focus list of things. We have engineering, but it's definitely its prominence in the gameplay loop has sort of been brought down. I almost forget about it every now and then. You know what I mean? But when you think about something like the Polaris, there's a really substantial amount of space taken up by engineering. You know what I mean? And it's funny because you can kind of see that in the plans at that time. Engineering was coming on board with the Polaris So they put a lot of work into the engineering room, thinking it was going to be a big thing. And I do think engineering is going to return in a major way. And the reason I do is I think that it adds a lot of gameplay value to the ships. But ultimately, right now, it does feel a little bit like wasted space, to be totally fair. Right. So yeah. Okay. Let's go back to really quickly here, and everyone give Trist a big thank you for building that site and allowing us to tour the interior, which is super cool. Ship currently 110 meters long, 60 meters wide, 22 meters tall. Obviously, that can be revised. Crew of around 6, with 3 size 5 remote turrets and 2. Actually, what's the missile thing here? We have 2 racks of 4 times size 2 missiles, extra small, the extra small hangar, which I guess would be extra small hangar. Is that what you're thinking, Trist, at the end?
No.
Just in terms of what you're going to be able to get in there?
No.
Because you did a lot of like, if it fits, it sits type stuff, right? Weren't you able to get quite a bit in there?
I would say most didn't fit.
Oh, really? Okay.
There were a few, like the Golem, which is completely rectangular, that fit, but stuff like the Aurora, for example, I thought would be a good fit, but it's way too long. It would have to. I don't think that you can't fit anything other than Golem Salvation and then the snubs.
Yeah. Well, they should
actually
revise that. That'll be a problem.
Actually, all these predictions I made with the assumption that you would have to close the door in the back. And now with the Ironclad, we learned that you don't have to. You can still quantum with the top open.
Very true.
And you can put a clipper inside the Ironclad. That's fine. So knowing that, now I'm pretty sure you can put a Gladius in. It will stick out, but apparently that works.
Why not, right? I mean, next let's go to the other sort of discussion point around the galaxy. Go into, and I know it's always a little weird to speculate on this. War bond price for the ship was $350. This is a civilian ship, not a military ship. So we'll factor that into it. But where do we think this one is going to land in terms of cost? Who wants to start? Do we have any price predictions? Chat, feel free to join in. Do you have any price predictions on where the Galaxy will fall? Its war bond price was $350. Its standalone credit price was $380. Let's hear it. Getting some people in chat say $450. War bond, 500 plus, 380, 650. Pretty wide range there. Seeing several some people going as high as $600 for this thing.
I'd say it'd be $550
Mm-hmm.
for new war, or for war bond, maybe 6 for credit.
That'd be a pretty substantial jump up. I think actually,
if it comes with, I think if you purchased it with modules in it,
yeah,
I think maybe just the ship, maybe it'd be more towards the 400 scale.
Yeah. Well, I would say I'm going to be a little bit more conservative. And the reason is it's a more flexible ship and it's a bigger ship than something like the Starlancer series. Those come at around, like the Starlancer Max is $250 standalone. I think I could see this being $450. I know a lot of people saying $450 war bond. I could see that. And again, it goes back to that value thing that we were sort of talking about, right? Like, where's the value on this ship? But if this ship came in at around that $450 price range, I think it would move a lot of units. But I haven't really given this any thought until now. The question obviously being, would the module price go up as well? I actually don't know what the modules cost. Does anyone know that in chat? I'll have to look that up. Trist, what do you think is on price? Do you have any predictions?
I don't really. I still am not that much into buying spaceships.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. That's probably a safe way of approaching this stuff. I didn't know how much the modules were. Chat says some people think modules will go up to 70, 80, 100. Okay. We'll say cargo was $45. Okay. Well, again, that's going to be really interesting to see because, again, we haven't had modularity at this scale yet. So it is going to be kind of interesting to see where this ship lands price-wise and what those modules land price-wise. That will be really interesting. Okay. We've talked about the Galaxy. It's an exciting ship. It's coming up soon. It's coming up very soon. We won't have to wait long for it. I do know there's a lot of people really excited for the Galaxy. So, for those people, you don't have long to wait. And I think that is a good thing. I mean, I do own a Galaxy. I would say that like with any ship, even the ships that I'm, not following closely, I would say I hope it ends up, hitting all those notes for you, checks all those boxes, however you want to phrase it, and is that ship of your dreams sort of thing. I know a lot of people are looking at this ship as being that daily driver large ship for them. So I think there's a lot of importance on this ship. CIG obviously feels is the same way, putting this ship as the IAE ship. So we'll have to see how it comes out. I will say the last sort of thing I would say about the Galaxy is, to me, it's been the ship that's been the most nail biter of all the ships that are in production, because every update CIG gives us feels like it's way behind schedule. But at the same time, I think it's hard to predict how fast CIG can pump out ships now. It's quite obvious the scale of their team has grown. So we're having to sort of come to a new baseline on how long ships take to create, especially ships with a really robust manufacturer kit like RSI. So if they could pull this one out by IAE, consider me very impressed. Let's just put it that way. Okay, everyone, don't forget to get in on the giveaway. If you want to get in on the giveaway, we are going to give away tonight one of the Steel Tech bundles. If you're on YouTube, all you got to go to the link pinned to chat is my new player guide video. Leave a comment on that video, please. It could be a single word, hi. I'm going to pull a random comment from there that was left during the stream. And if you are on Twitch, you do !ticket or !ticket max. We'll pull both winners. We'll put you in the random wheel of names, and whoever wins will get this crazy Steel Tech bundle. Okay, which is pretty cool. It's got the big old Gatling gun. So, all right, let's move on to the infamous list. Here it is, everyone. Leaked out recently. We're going to talk about it. There was some detail that leaked out about a final pass deadline for a number of ships in the next few months. Again, it was noted here that this doesn't mean the ship will release at that time. It just means that CIG has internal milestones that they'd like to be sort of done with the ship by that time. And I want to go ahead and preface this by saying that this has leaked out. Pretty much everyone's covered it. We're going to cover it too at that point. Take all this with a grain of salt. I feel like it's probably pretty good information, but take it with a grain of salt. Hasn't come from CIG. That being said, we are going to talk about it. And we're just going to sort of start with some of the known ships. The first one being the Anvil Auxilia, which we can see right here in this silhouette. This is one that CIG has long talked about. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this is like a generalist ground vehicle, correct? Like a generalist ground vehicle. So we would expect it to have a few accommodations that something like the Clipper has. It's going to have the medical room or a medical bed, and it's going to have, a small crafting station. I think that's what we're thinking here. And Jojo brings up a good point. He says also the names could be internal names and could be a bit different when we see them. That is a great point. Any thoughts on the
ever happened before? Were there ever name changes?
Yes, there have been name changes. I can't think of one totally offhand, but I do remember one. I'd have to look that information up for you. But yes, I can remember one. And there's been manufacturer changes from ships where it was one manufacturer. Now, I don't think that happens much nowadays, or if at all, but definitely back in the day, manufacturer changes would happen pretty late in the game sometimes. But any thoughts on the Auxilla from either of you gents? This one is interesting to me, but very kind of meh. I think it's needed. I think we do need this in game. It doesn't really excite me or move me in any way. The generalist role makes a lot of sense for a ship. I'm not 100% sure what the generalist role is going to do for ground vehicle gameplay yet. What do you guys think on that one?
I guess it could be useful if with Genesis you have a lot of locations on a planet that you can reach without a ship. You can just drive to a mission and you can heal and you can manufacture new guns and you can sleep and all that stuff. But currently I don't think there's any need for it, except that it would not come out. If that comes out with the crafting badge also not working, then I don't know.
Right. It's kind of like, what are we here for? Yeah, I agree. It's an interesting one. And I think the clues though could be with this next one. I'm going to go back to our list here because the Anvil Auxilla listed for a deadline at the end of August. But then they also say here the Greycat MFC, which is the sort of a variant of like the MDC and stuff, and the MTC. The MFC, which is sort of the fabrication crafting variant of that, deadline end of August as well. And if you remember, the MFC was shown to us way early too. I think this is even supposed to be the MFC in the silhouette. At least I've heard that. I would assume if there's 2 ground vehicles that are supposed to have crafting with them, it means that they've solved the tech issue preventing ship-based crafting machines from working and pulling from the cargo grids. That could be pretty exciting. If that's something we're getting sooner rather than later, that would be really cool because think of this. Much like you can throw the NERSA in any ship, you could throw these in any ship. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Which would be kind of exciting. You get the crafting station, you get a ground vehicle with it as well. So it kind of ups the value of those. Again, both of those showing a deadline end of August. Again, that doesn't mean we're getting it in August. We might get it in September, we might get it in October, but targeting end of August. Now, again, that would be bringing on some new feature technically, and that the crafting machines on the ships would work. So maybe CIG's saving that for an October time. Yes, I know they're not doing a Citizen Con, but maybe we are supposed to still get something special at that time, you know? So yeah. And again, feel free to tangent on any of those.
Could also be that they have to finish them for internal purposes because other stuff is need to be done. But it could all be in preparation for IAE, and we have like a big galaxy and then these 3 and everything is crafting and we have something in every price range.
Yeah, very much so. Next one is the Origin M60. To me, this one doesn't have as much mystery behind it. I am excited to see it. Art, I don't know what you think about this one, being that it's a combat ship, but I would say that, I would assume the M60 is just the medium fighter variant of the M80 being the heavy. I mean, is that what we're thinking here? Wolf, thank you for subscribing over on YouTube, buddy. I do appreciate that. And Smelly Butthole Guy for following on Twitch. Hell of a name. Zach T did tell me to stretch an hour ago. Sorry, I didn't mention that. Yeah.
Could it be small?
It could be. Maybe there's an M60, M70, M80, something like that. But
yeah, if 50 is the racing one, then with the small 60 and the medium 70.
Yeah, it could be light.
Could be. I mean,
could be light, could be medium, could be any, I would be curious if it was
thank you, Scree.
A dual seater.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Something with a turret or something.
Kind of that streamlined kind of fighter look that we got from the M80. Maybe this one's like a dual seater.
Mm-hmm. True Top Gun.
A dual seat racer.
Or just a dual seated medium fighter, something like that.
Or it's a dual seat racer to get in line with the Rock.
True.
Yeah. Yeah. Get in line for the most useless ship. Yeah. I mean, here's what I would say about the M60. I mean, obviously, the M80 tickled a lot of people in the right places. Ben Curtis talked a bit about how the M80 was sort of the onboarding for the entire team when it came to Origin ships, because a lot of them hadn't worked on Origin ships, himself included, from concept to flight ready. And it's, I think when we can expect to see a line of Origin stuff now, because they didn't just all get up to speed to pump out one ship. So it wasn't super surprising that an M60 is coming down the line, and wouldn't be surprising if there's another Origin after this one. You know what I mean? There's a reason they're putting the effort into getting their Origin design shops back up to snuff. So no big surprise there. I think we're all kind of thinking same here, though. It's either a light or a medium fighter to sort of pair with the M80. Next one here, and that has a deadline of September 22nd. Again, putting it sort of right in the target range for an October, November ship. No surprises there. We're going to need a lot of ships for that IAE time period. Next one, also a deadline of September 30th, is the Gatak Hyun. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Before I give my thoughts on what this is, do either one of you want to jump in on this one? Art?
I think it's going to be our first alien industrial ship.
Ooh, first alien industrial. Okay.
We've had a lot of industrial stuff come out. We've already kind of touched base with the cargo, with alien cargo ships and such. So I think this is. I really hope that this is more of an industrial ship.
I agree, and I think it has to be a tiny one, because releasing the Tului without a fitting craft for those hangars is just weird. So I think it's like a tiny-ish miner or salvager.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. That I definitely think it's the snub. I think it's the Xi'an snub. The only thing that has me a little bit...
It's a Gatak, though.
Yeah. The only thing that has me a little doubting, though, that it may be industrial, and I agree with you, it's Gatak, it should be industrial, is that the Tului doesn't really support any like any resources from ships that are going out and mining or salvage. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have an onboard refinery or anything like that you would expect it to have for a ship that's servicing industrial snubs. That's my only thing that has me a little worried, but I do think it's the snub. Now, here's the thing. If it's just a Gatak little combat snub, I do think it's quite clear that CIG has departed the Gatak industrial focused sort of thing, right? It's Jojo says, supposed to be an alien generalist being worked on right now per the monthly report. Cool. Maybe it is the alien generalist then. Maybe... Here's the thing. What if it's this? Now, this could be disappointing to people, but I don't know. It wouldn't be disappointing to me because I do like the design of the ship. But what if it's a third variant of the rail-in chassis that is a generalist ship, but it utilizes the rail-in kind of Tului ship setup? I could see that. In that back area, obviously be redesigned a little bit, would have manufacturing, it would have fabrication, it'd have a little bit of a medical station. From a timing standpoint, it would make sense because CIG had 2 variants out for Alien Week, and then the time it would take to create the next one for like an October, November, it makes sense that it would be an offshoot of that. I don't know. Mature Gaming says huge generalist. Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty big. But remember, much like Trist was showing with the Galaxy, there's a lot of area on the Raelin and Tului that are not usable space. You know what I mean? The ship's kind of bigger than the usable space you're actually getting. The RSI Skylark, deadline mid-September. What are our thoughts on this one? Garfishy, thank you for the follow. Scree, thank you for that hydrate again. Yeah, what are we thinking on the RSI Skylark? I have my opinion on what it is, but I'll let you guys run first if you have an idea. Trist, any thoughts on this one?
I have nothing. I looked up what kind of bird it is. I can't make any connection. It's a small bird.
Yeah,
It can fly very high, very fast. I don't know what to make of that.
Well,
I don't know what we need right now. So
Citizen Wake says it, and this is what I think it is too. I think it is the new snub for the next ship on the list, which is the Mark V Connie. I think it is I think the Mark V Connie is not going to use a Kruger for its snub ship. It's going to have a RSI.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
That would make sense. Yep.
I think
also with the name.
Yeah, the name lines up. I could totally see that being the case. And I think that sort of naturally brings up that next ship there in the list, which is the Connie Constellations getting a Mark V version because the Mark IV is the current version. And the Mark IV is getting gold standard. Deadline 13th of October. Look, this has long been rumored, long been talked about. Beer Drake Grimm, thank you, Captain. As you all know, I did my own variant of the Connie. I like sort of reworked it. As a matter of fact, do I have that? Yeah, I do right here. Sort of reworking the Connie into a much, much bigger ship. And I think I was getting up to like 90 meters long to sort of compete with the Starlancer series. It's interesting though with the Constellation because CIG does need the Constellations to be a ship that I do think it's going to be a really popular ship for people to get because the current Connies are, and it sits in that sweet spot range of like 60 meters where people love to be. So I think it makes a lot of sense for them to do the Mark V Connies. I do think it's going to be a modular ship. So we're only going to get one, but it's going to be modular. The big question mark with, and it's not surprised that we're getting it because again, the RSI brand kit, manufacturer kit is so matured at this point. But the question I would throw out to you guys is, do you think they're in a tricky place with this one? Because they could either pay homage to the original Connies in terms of their look and feel, which are kind of unique amongst the RSI line and from the general gameplay or, Star Citizen line of ships. The Connies sort of sit in a unique place from a look perspective. Or do they radically switch gears and we get something that's very sort of mini galaxy, like arrowhead, diamond shape? Which path do you think they'll take? Personally, I hope that the Connie Mark Vs borrow more from the Apollo series and are based heavily off the Apollo series and sort of retain a little bit of that old school RSI vibe. But I'm going to hand it over to you two. What do you think?
I have to agree because what you just described is basically a Zeus, right?
Yeah. And
so
it's and if you did have it and it was based off that, you'd have like the Zeus, the Connie Mark Vs, and then the Galaxy. It's sort of the same ship, just scaled up. And the Apollo hull is very popular. Obviously, it's why CIG planned for it to have the Hermes variant and stuff like that. But yeah, I think it could take cues from that and be very successful. Anything you hope the Connie Mark Vs come with that you think it needs to have to be a success? Like I mentioned, modularity. Is that where your heads are at with this one?
Yeah, I think it needs modularity. I would like to see some other modules that we haven't seen in a while.
Mhm.
So maybe a dropship module, maybe a bounty hunting module would be kind of interesting, or maybe even quantum interdiction. Because we really don't have a larger quantum interdiction ship.
That's a good point. Do you think, let me ask you this. Do you think the Connie Mark Vs need to be able to replace all variants of the Connie Mark IVs? Meaning, do you think they need to cover all those versions? So you need the luxury Phoenix version, you need the Andromeda version, you need the Aquila version. Like, you don't think that's something they need to do?
need and want are two very different things. Do they
Yeah.
need to do that? No,
Yeah.
because I mean they're gold standarding the Mark IVs, and if they were just going to sunset the Mark IVs, then yes, 100% they would have to replicate on the Mark Vs.
Right.
But since they're not, no, they're not going to. I think they're going to go with different modules. They may have one or two crossovers. You know, I would assume there's going to probably be a Phoenix luxury version because it sells very well. And it's kind of one of the more popular ships that comes around during St. Patrick's Day and stuff like that. So I could see that happening, but the other modules, I like I said, I would see different kind of stepping outside of what the original Connies did.
Yeah.
I think a generalist one would match very well. That is one that is not too big and not too small to make a generalist that is bigger than the Clipper, but
I think it would be really cool for modular ships to be able to have generalist modules. I think that talk about really upping the value of ships and giving them a lot of flexibility off like day-to-day gameplay. You know what I mean? I would imagine if we're getting a Connie Mark V and the Connie Mark IVs are being brought up to gold standard, I would imagine that they're going to be sunsetted, much like the Aurora Mark I or the Mark I Auroras and stuff, and that we won't be able to purchase them anymore. Do you guys think the same, or do you think they'll keep the Connies around because they were, such a fan favorite? It's a tough one.
I mean, I think I could see both sides of it. I mean, the Aurora was very popular as well and sold very well, and they sunsetted it. So, could they? Sure. Will they? I hope not. At least not for a while. Maybe we're looking at like a post 1.0. Sunsetting shortly after a 1.0 kind of thing would be interesting. I don't know how I feel about ships in general being sunsetted before the game's even fully released yet.
Controversial. It's a controversial topic to say the least.
Because then when's the Polaris Mark II? When's the the Zeus? Mark VI, and is that what we're going to do? Is we're just going to sunset things and
it starts getting you very concerned about the future longevity of your ship that you're purchasing.
Right.
I agree. I don't want it to be sunsetted, but if you look at the model and the textures and stuff, it looks very old. I don't think gold standardizing is enough. Really, they would have to remake it in
pretty
part, and I don't think they want to.
Yeah.
So could be a reason.
Yeah. And the same could be said for other ships. I mean, the Connie's hardly alone in this. I would put the Reclaimer in that same category. Another ship that needs some drastic work. And again, it comes down to that thing. It's like, well, geez, just CIG Mark II it, or do they rework it? Now, on the flip side, we know the 600i is getting the rework, the pretty massive rework, where its entire interior is changing, which is really what the Reclaimer needs. It's like a full interior rework. But on the Connies, obviously, they're taking a different approach. And part of that, I think, and this is just purely my design career background speaking here, Jared did a show, it was a few years back, for those of you that remember, and they sort of they interviewed the people there, I forget what their titles were, but they sort of like oversee the internal game brands that are in the lore. And they did go into a lot of these manufacturers and where they sit and what their aesthetics are and all that. And it's very clear to me that the CIG now is very different than CIG 10 years ago, where they do really want to bring, ships in line from a manufacturer standpoint to hit certain, little check boxes they have. And I think some of that is exterior design, some of it's interior design, some of it's role based. Obviously we have some manufacturers that lean into certain roles very heavily, like Argo and stuff, but it's very clear that's important to them. And I have to think that, the Connie Mark IV just had enough with it that was different than where they want RSI to head, that it warranted the Mark II. So, or the Mark V, I guess I should say. Ryan Mac Gamer in chat. Ryan, hope you're doing well, buddy. This is going to be a big one, to be totally honest with you. This could be, in my opinion, a bigger deal than the Galaxy, possibly.
I was just getting ready to say that.
Yeah. For example, the Galaxy's the sort of 100-meter plus large ship. It's very possible we get a smaller large ship at IAE. Timing wise, deadline 13th of October. I think that'd be tight for IAE, but maybe that this is in their planning. But regardless, if you released the Connie Mark V alongside the Galaxy, it's going to get the RSI fans really excited. But I got to tell you, depending on how strong the Mark V is, I think it could give the Galaxy a run for its money. Again, depending if it has modularity, depending on which modules come with it, depending on the look and feel of it. But for example, if it turns out that the Connie Mark V is more of a mini Galaxy, I think a lot of people will be asking be questioning themselves on what they want to do. I don't know. There's just a lot of unanswered questions there. We don't know enough about what a Mark V constellation would do. All right, moving on. Deadline, and that's the deadline of 13th of October, which would normally be around, not that this is when they were going to release a ship, but the 13th of October, if you all remember, is normally when we get a citizen comp. We're not getting that, but around that time, what we will be getting is the content creator and community Star Squadron 42 Manchester event. Was invited, won't be going. So unfortunately, I won't be able to report from it, but I think there'll be plenty of people reporting to it and should be pretty exciting. So there's no telling what's going to happen around that to sort of celebrate the game and the community squadron. Who knows? Honestly, I think we're in for some surprises personally, but we'll see. Next one. Now let's get to the manufacturer that actually matters. Okay. The next one is the Drake Marauder, the deadline of 19th of October. I'm going to start with this one. As the preeminent Drake fan, I am going to say that what I think the Marauder is Drake's heavy fighter. What I hope the Marauder is Drake's answer to the Perseus. I'm hoping that Drake has a ship to sort of because we have the Caterpillar, we have the Ironclad. It would be cool, but even the Ironclad Assault is kind of like a combat-ish vehicle. It's weird. It sits in a weird place. I do love the Assault, but what we don't have is a large guns blazing, full-on Drake big bad boy combat ship, and I think that would be really cool. The name Marauder, it sounds aggressive. To me, it's got to be either some sort of big gunship or it's got to be the heavy fighter. Personally, Marauder to me doesn't really fit like a light fighter or something or medium fighter sort of thing. And I forget what the Buccaneer's a medium fighter, if I'm not mistaken. So it would be the perfect name for a heavy fighter. That's what I'm thinking. I told you, and this wasn't a mystery, but a lot of you knew this too. But with the work on the Ironclad, the work on ships like the Clipper and all the way up to now the Kraken, we knew more Drake ships were coming. We might even get additional Drake ships by the time the Kraken releases. But I don't know. I hand it over to you guys. What do you think the Marauder is? Any predictions on this one? Best manufacturer.
I wanted something was just sized for the Ironclad when that first came out. When I just saw the thumbnail, I was hoping it was something like a big gunboat. So I'm with you, but I don't think that could be it. They can't pull another one of those big ships in
It'd
between
be a lot.
the Ironclad and the Kraken.
I agree. It would be a lot.
Maybe in the future, but I think right now the big fighter makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
And the only thing that I would have to add is it has to fit the Ironclad.
Okay. So a heavy
Does it make
fighter
sense?
that can fit inside the Ironclad assault, essentially.
Obviously, it's more important that it fits the Kraken.
Yep.
But
Yeah.
realistically, it needs to fit the Ironclad.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Art, what do you think? Drake Marauder.
Again, I'm gonna have to say I agree with both of you. I really wish it was a competitor to I would say RSI's current dominance in capital ship gameplay.
Yeah.
For combat stuff. But yeah, I'm again to Trist's point, they're not going to do another big ship. The other big ship that they're kind of working on right now is the Galaxy.
Yeah.
I can't see them pulling off another big one. So
yeah,
I think it would be
to be fair,
it's going to
though,
be one of those heavy fighters.
To be fair,
or maybe a gunship.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the Connie Mark V's a little bit of a surprise, or the Connie Mark V. That's good. It's a large ship, probably in that 60-meter range. But I agree with you. I would think it'd be a stretch for them to pull out another 100-meter long Drake ship.
Yeah.
Let me throw you.
If it's a variant.
If it could be. If it is, it's going to need a lot of vertical launch tubes.
It's true. Oh, let me throw a total curveball for you, Genso. If you go back, talked about this a little bit with the Pitbull back when we didn't know what the Pitbull was. One of the things I suggested is maybe it is the Drake ground combat competitor to the Nova tank. And it would be a perfect fit for the Ironclad Assault, because if you remember going back to the Ironclad Assault concept imagery, they showed Nova tanks rolling off the front of it, right? What if it was Drake's answer to that? Could be. I don't think that's what it is. It could be sort of a curveball idea, but it could be a Drake tank. It makes a lot of sense. Like Urgent Hush says, it makes a lot of sense for Drake, and the name would fit. But again, when you go back to like, well, what is the thing that really is needed in the Drake line? We do kind of need a Drake heavy fighter. And if you look, there's been a little bit of a focus on heavy fighters from CIG for a little while now. Right? We've gotten a few. The Stinger, the Meteor. We've gotten the M80. I mean, there's been quite a few, so it would make sense. CIG is on a tear right now with Drake design too, so I think if they did do a Meteor or a heavy fighter, it would be pretty slick. So I'd be pretty excited to see that. But as someone who's not like primarily combat focused, it would be the least interesting. But yeah,
just to test it, how does Drake Ironclad Marauder sound to you?
It
has no ring to it, has it?
It's a mouthful, but it's got a ring to it.
No, I think it doesn't have a ring to it.
Doesn't have a ring to it?
So it was a test. It was a test.
Here's what I will say. Marauder, just in and of itself, is a very cool name. And it's got to be used for a very cool ship. You know what I mean? And again, that's why I go to, it's either got to be a badass gunship or it's got to be a heavy fighter. Something really aggressive. So I'm going to put my money on a heavy fighter. That's where I'm putting my money.
I wonder if it's going to be something that would compare with the Ares or the Inferno.
That'd be cool.
Maybe like a size 7, size 8 railgun.
Or just take one barrel from that gun they're making for the Kraken. You know, that primary gun, that big one.
Oh, yeah.
Just take one barrel of that, put it on a ship. I could go for that. That'd be cool. Let's move on to the next one. A really popular ship. Liberator. It says its deadline is scheduled for the 26th of February, currently behind schedule. Now, many of you will remember I put my money and have been predicting from the very beginning that I think the the Liberator will release at DefenseCon right alongside the Kraken and whatever else they have. There's a lot of people that doubt me on this. They say, why would CIG release 2 carriers? And it's because you got to remember, as I've said many times, the Kraken is going to be a $2,000 hull limited capital ship. They need something smaller. And what's going to really suck is if the Kraken comes out and it's this awesome carrier ship, but there's nothing for everyone else to get, but they want to do the carrier gameplay. You know what I mean? Beyond like the Tului or something. Releasing the Liberator alongside that is super smart. And if you look at that timeline, if they have the Liberator finishing, or if it was originally scheduled to finish the 26th of February, and let's say it is a month or two behind schedule, that really puts it finishing around the time the Kraken finishes, which is hopefully around the end of March, which gives them another month or two after that to prepare all the marketing materials, prepare the website stuff, prepare all the imagery for the sale page, et cetera, et cetera. Makes a lot of sense. I'm telling you, I predicted it, and I think it's going to happen. Liberator, Kraken, that's good. And here's the thing, just from a fun lore perspective, if you remember, the when the Ironclads came out during DefenseCon, Anvil kind of showed up Drake by releasing the Odin, the bigger ship, and Arden even sort of made a quip about that in one of the cinematics. I think it would be fun if it was reversed this year, where it's like Anvil's comes out with a new ship, the Liberator, but Drake sort of upends that with the bigger ship, the Kraken. So it'd be kind of a fun play on what happened this year. I see Execute in chat. Execute, hope you're doing well, buddy. Listen, I was supposed to have Trist on for an Ironclad episode, and I didn't. Just got lazy, I guess. Talking about the Galaxy earlier, and I said I gotta have Trist on. And what was funny, I knew he would mention the headphones. What was funny was Trist messaged me first and said, "Hey, I could do a Galaxy episode with you." I was like, I was literally typing up a message to him. Perfect. Execute. Art is no longer Blue Boy. He's no longer
He
Blue
bought
Ball.
them for me. I don't know what he's talking about.
Okay.
He bought them and sent them.
Yeah.
There was a lipstick kiss outline on the packaging. I was a little concerned.
Here's, to keep us on time, here's what I'll say about the Liberator. To me, and I don't know, he does have a blue shirt. I don't know what you guys think, but to me, and it may not come when it goes on sale, but the Liberator has the most room for a variant very similar to the Ironclad and Ironclad Assault, where I think they could branch off the Liberator, and maybe it's nothing too magically different, but I could see there being an upgunned Liberator, because the current Liberator doesn't have a lot. I mean, it does have armament, but it's not super impressive. It's more about getting ships from A to B. I do think they're going to add repair, rearm, and refuel to this thing. I could see this thing getting some VLS vertical launchers as well, but I could also see an upgun variant. I'll hand it over to you two, though. What do you think? Any thoughts on the Liberator? Any hopes on the Liberator?
That they redesign it.
Cold.
I said it.
I can understand that, though. I came out recently and showed this image, and I know a lot of people don't like it, but I really like this image here of the Liberator.
Mm-hmm.
I like that one a lot, and I actually kind of like this one too, although I don't think that would be good from a gameplay standpoint with the tall walls. But this looks super cool.
Well, again, it goes back to those kits and that manufacturing language that we've kind of gotten used to. And granted, this is an old concept, and older concept before they started getting into that. But I would really like to have had them kind of lean into that Asgard Valkyrie kind of vibe and feel.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with this is there are a lot more people, I've said this multiple times, there is a lot more people excited about this ship than I initially expected. I don't know. What do you think, Trist? Is this a ship that interests you at all?
Honestly, it never did that much, but it is one of the most requested ships for me to do after the Galaxy. There were people telling me to ditch the Ironclad and do this one. And so I did look into it, and I kind of start to understand why people like it. But to me, on first glance, it's a pretty ugly shovel. Yeah. So I'm starting to be interested, but it's definitely hard to like.
To me, it always came across as a slightly unfinished concept. The one bit of hope I do have, and I'm probably showing one of the more interesting angles of it here, the little bit of confidence I have is stemming from the Paladin. I think CIG, the Paladin was never a ship I was particularly interested in personally. It just didn't do anything for me. But I gotta say, damn, they knocked that ship out of the park from a design standpoint. I mean, just really did a fantastic job. And obviously the Anvil manufacturing kit, we've got the Asgard, we got the Valkyrie, we got the Paladin, of course. The other big Anvil ship, though, the Carrack, feels very different from this ship from an internal, like, manufacturer kit styling standpoint. So I don't know if they can borrow much from that, but if the idea is that they're going to take the Paladin and use those that kit and sort of upscale that, I think this could still be a really, really cool ship. And it's also possible that, you know, whatever internal concept mesh they have is a lot more detailed than what we've seen. This is just one of those ones, I agree with you. When I look at it, I'm kind of like, it's kind of ugly. But I fully aware you got to be careful saying that, because sometimes CIG, when a ship actually lands in game, the ugly ships can sometimes be the most interesting and coolest in game, to be totally honest with you. And it doesn't always translate over into like good concept art. But we'll have to see. But personally, I do think the Liberator is lacking. And the easiest thing for them to do is to add repair, rearm, refuel capability to the Liberator. I think that is going to happen. I also think the Liberator is going to get its cargo capacity is going to get brought up substantially, even if it means some changes to the exterior of the ship a little bit to accommodate that. But I think that's almost a given at this point. Am I missing anything on the Liberator? We haven't seen any previews of it or any teases of it yet either. To the best of my knowledge, CIG hasn't teased us with anything. Obviously, the ship's still a ways away. But I would assume once we get closer to IAE, we'll start to see a little bit of those sneak peeks in the roadmap, or sorry, the PU monthly reports and stuff. I think that'll be a thing. Oh, we just got something. Oh my goodness, he's back. OJ just gifted out 50 community subs because he's a legend. Thank you so much, OJ. I got to tell you, your community subs that you had gifted out were incredible. They did help with Twitch this month, and that helped me out a bunch. So thank you very much. Everyone give OJ an 07 for that. I'm going to give him one too here with my, actually, that's way too tiny double salute. We got to bring that up for OJ. We got to make it big. That's how we got to do it. Give you the 007, OJ. Thank you very much for that support, buddy. OJ's always kicking the doors down with those gifted subs.
You just need to impose the double salute over your head.
Yes.
So it's Grim size.
Yeah, I need to do that. I could do that. We could just take it and we could just bring it down a little bit, and I could just move it right here. So it's perfect.
That's perfect.
That is absolutely the best thing I've ever done. That is the best thing I've ever done and on this show. Yeah, there it goes. Oh God, what time is it? It's 9:30. Yeah, it is
9:30. So
OJ, thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate you more than you know. Trust me, you really helped me out this month, man. Thank you.
In the stage chat here, I did move over a picture. That is the B-26 Marauder. So it was a bomber in World War II.
Okay, where is that?
It's in the chat, the stream chat. I can actually let me just DM it to you.
Yes, if you want to play. Oh, yeah, if you could, please, that might be good. For some reason, the chat window's hidden for this. Yes, let me.
Somebody mentioned it in chat that it was a World War II plane. So
okay, gotcha.
Did some research.
This is the Marauder. Oh, okay, yeah, it's got some guns on it, don't it? I see some guns. Okay,
but it's a bomber. So
interesting. Oh, Drake bomber. That could be kind of cool. Okay, we talked about the Liberator. A lot of people excited for this one. I think that goes without saying. Again, OJ, thank you for those gifted subs. That is incredible. Step Sergeant just subscribed with Prime. Appreciate that. Obviously, we hit our sub goal because that's how OJ does things. So new sub goal has been started. Yeah, OJ's just a great supporter. He's been just unreal. Unreal. Okay. Next, last, but certainly not least, we got, I just went to the wrong page. Damn, okay, just took to my full face page. We have another update, and that one is to this ship you all know and love, the Kraken, with a marked deadline of March 2027. Go ahead and drink. We mentioned the Kraken, best ship in the game, obviously. No real surprise there. I mean, CIG is, been kind of overly open about this ship, to be totally honest with you. More so than a lot of ships that have been in production. And that has been a little bit surprising. We've gotten quite a few, sneak peeks, obviously, about this ship, including some pretty substantial ones. This one here showing off a lot of the exterior. So CIG's not been hiding that. They have also not hidden the release date of this ship at all. They've been open since last DefenseCon that it's coming next DefenseCon, which has been kind of odd for CIG, to be totally honest with you. Ultimately, I think it was a good thing because it gave people a little bit of a warning that, look, if you're trying to lock this ship down, now is the time to get it for that concept price. But no big surprise there. Kraken in production and heading closer and closer to completion. They have that deadline by the end of March 2027. Again, that perfectly lines up with a DefenseCon release. Releasing at the end of March gives you April, about a month to prepare the sale page for it, get all the final imagery up for it, all that kind of stuff. And so, no surprises there. So this list was kind of a big deal. I mean, we didn't really expect this. Take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, some of this could change or be different than we think. We'll have to see. Sometimes I have to gauge whether I'm covering certain leaks or not. But since everyone in the known universe has covered it already, and I was gone this weekend, I figured might as well do it. I do have a Kraken, so when it does launch in the game, any of you that want to ride, you can jump right on board. I do want to cover one other thing real quick. Actually, two other things real quick. The first one is this. We did get a sneak peek image recently that says heat emission, active cooling. The name of this image was hot or cold. Based off how big this push button is, I expect what we're seeing here is actually very, very small in game. I'll hand it over to you guys. What do you think we're looking at here?
Was there a name on the saved image? I missed that.
No, it just said hot or cold. No, it was just a generic image name. It didn't have like a ship name in it or anything. But the thing was hot or cold. Have any ideas on this one? I have an idea, but I'll let you guys go first. Thank you for subscribing, BC. Go ahead, sorry.
Size-wise, I also thought weapon, like handheld weapon. And I was kind of thinking of these. I don't know what the name was, but there's this Halo gun that just opens when it overheats and has to cool down.
Oh, that's right. Second. Yeah, it's that new LMG, whatever, that goes like plasma when it gets, overheated. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
That could be interesting. Yep. That could be interesting. I'm still thinking it's a vehicle.
Okay.
I don't know what it would be. But
that'd be a really big button.
But see, here's the thing. I think we're just zoomed in really, really close on it because you can see this texture here. We're really up on it. If you shrunk that down, it could be just a panel of the exterior or something. I know some people were saying possibly the Greycat MFC. I don't know why we would be pushing a button on a ship for active cooling. So I agree with you there. It does make a lot of sense that it's possibly a weapon of some type. Do we usually get sneak peeks of weapons, though? I guess we have in the past, right?
Yeah.
Maybe? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe that is.
Bigger one would be like a working cryopod.
Ooh, that could be interesting. We do know that bounty hunting has been on the docket for a long time. OJ says, I mean, it would be cool if it were able to overcharge guns in a ship or something. Yeah, that would be cool. That would be cool. A little bit more interaction with the weapon systems beyond just hitting the boom trigger button. Yeah, we've talked about that a little bit in regards to beam weapons and stuff like that, on how like a second seat or something could alter the way a weapon shoots or something like that. Could be really cool. But yeah, I agree with you all. I think this could be a weapon of some type. Next, we didn't cover the roadmap roundup for last week because it came after.
We did.
We did. No, we covered the PU monthly
sorry.
report,
No.
but not the roundup.
Yeah,
not the roundup. Yeah,
how bad?
And the reason is because I remember during the PU monthly report, I said, "Man, I hope we see some Genesis stuff."
Right.
And then suddenly CIG hit us with a bunch of Genesis stuff for Alpha 4.11. Couple things labeled. Nix 1 being listed as tentative, which is very, very exciting, possibly being our first Genesis planet. Starkitect mission pack. Genesis Planet Tech V5, obviously, if we're getting Nix 1. Genesis Starkitect, which is cool because it's the first time I had heard Starkitect named as part of the Genesis tech, which does make sense, actually. But I always had just sort of heard it as Starkitect, so it's interesting to see that sort of together. Genesis Population Manager, Starkitect POIs, and there's some other stuff too. The Castac Arms I know Paul was excited about, but specifically go into the Genesis stuff and the Starkitect stuff. A couple images were released, and I gotta say, really, really exciting to see these. I'll hand it over to you guys. Any thoughts on the Genesis stuff, the Starkitect stuff? When we were talking on last show, there was a lot of discussion around how important this, I guess you'd call it feature tech, core tech maybe, because it is probably what unlocks a lot of other stuff for us. Now, again, we didn't directly tie Starkitect into Genesis, but they're calling it Genesis Starkitect. So Genesis planets bringing on not only better looking planets, but Starkitect and probably all the, other future stuff like base building and stuff, because Genesis planets are going to be able to support, I would assume, land parcels of some type or some sort of marking system for land parcels, resources in ground, all that kind of stuff. So, and I would assume that is the Genesis planets are going to support things like, Genesis weather in the future and all that sort of tech that they showed off at that CitizenCon that seemed very forward leaning that we hadn't seen in the planets we have now. We have seen parts of it, for example, what was it? There was that one event last year that we got to see a little bit of the weather in action. Which was kind of cool, but we didn't see it, fully integrated into the Genesis planet. So hopefully when 4.11 comes out, this is the beginning of getting regular Genesis and Starkitect integration. And based off what CIG has told us with Starkitect specifically, this could be a real sea change for how many POIs and how much there is to do on these planets, including, again, future base building. But the question being is performance.
I've got a link,
right?
I got a link from Ian.
Okay. Yeah, I did
Posted on
see.
X.
Okay. Yeah, link me to that. If you can be a DM. Thank you. Let me bring this up here and I'll bring it on over.
Thank you to Ubu for that.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Okay, there's Rihanna with a post. Thank you, Rihanna. It's an advertisement. I'm not subscribed to that.
All right.
I'm just gonna say.
Now I know what you've been doing.
Yeah, now you know what I've been doing. To be fair, I do like Rihanna, and this is her Savage X Fenty. You see, I have not followed it. This is X giving me this because it does give me the ability to follow it. Maybe we'll see. Sure. Rihanna, Rihanna, I'll come back to you after the stream. But here Ian says, God, I'm so excited to everyone to explore and experience Nix 1. It's been nearly 2 years ago since I presented Starkitect, and it's still surreal to me that we've got it we've got its first usage onto 4.11. And there was some other posters or posts that had additional clips by other developers about how excited they are for it. GearCon says, hello, Rihanna and the twins. Exactly. Shout out Rihanna. If you're watching the stream, we appreciate you. So yes, that being said, I'm excited for this one. What do you guys think? GearCon says hydrate.
Ooh.
Thoughts on Genesis while I get the giveaway rolling?
Super excited for it, especially with the performance boosts they talked about regarding scattering objects.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one of those things that I believe when I see it on my computer.
Yeah. I'm kind of right there with you. I'm trying to be careful letting myself get too excited about it, because I think it's gonna be really cool for just planet exploration, but Starkitect is the actual thing that has me the most like, let's wait and see.
I just remember Pyro. It was supposed to come out next month, and then there was something, but it took another year until you could really explore it. So I'm really hoping I can explore Pyro next or in 2 months. Sorry, Nix. Yeah, but I believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
Art, your thoughts?
I think it's going to be interesting. I mean, everybody's going to go there. So it's a great way to test performance, because everybody who's on a server is going to be flying to Nix 1 to check out a new planet. So you're going to see a lot there. I'm curious to see how they deal with resources on Nix 1, how, Starkitect and Genesis is different from the other planets, with minables, with all that other stuff, and the POIs. How full is Nix 1, compared to other locations that we've been to before where they've kind of placed things.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be interesting to see how that's all put together, and whether or not I'll be able to fall through the planet on day 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing with Genesis and Starkitect is there's a lot of hype behind it. And CIG hyped it up. You know what I mean? So it's actually a little bit surprising to me that they are putting in the Genesis planets, but then also pushing Starkitect out possibly as well. Excuse me, everyone. Again, it takes me to that place where it's like sometimes too many new things all at once can get very problematic. But it also may just be that Starkitect is part and parcel of Genesis planets. You know what I mean? It may not be that they are like very separate, like in any sort of way. Genesis planets just have Starkitect possibly built in from the ground up, which is what I'm assuming. So it's going to be interesting to see. All right, everyone. From a time perspective, I'm going to move on to the giveaway here. We're giving away the the Steel Tech bundle, which includes the Asgard Steel Tech paint, the big HMG, the super heavy combat suit, the whole thing here. Really cool paint, by the way. So the giveaway, if you want to get in on that, you have just seconds remaining on Twitch. It's exclamation ticket or exclamation ticket space match. If you're over on YouTube, you got to go to the link pinned to chat. That is one of my new player guide videos. Leave a comment on that video. It could be a single word, it can just be hi. I'm going to pull a winner from there. I'm going to pull a winner from Twitch, put you both in the random wheel of names. We're going to spin it. Whoever wins gets the Steel Tech bundle. Okay. YouTube, going to give you a couple more seconds to get your comment in because I know you have some extra steps there. So we're going to do a giveaway on Stream Elements first. Hopefully you all got your tickets. Going to be closing the giveaway in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Doing a refresh of the page and hitting close giveaway. And it never works the first time. Now it's closed.
It never does. So Trist, what is the next biggest tech thing that you want to see come out? Well, Grim is
and we're drawing
things.
A winner.
I want to.
Kevin Space Gaming, by the way, won. Congrats. You're a semifinalist. Putting your name in the wheel of name. Kevin Space Gaming. All right, Trist, go ahead.
Oh, he said Kevin Space said he misread the contest. I don't have the base game. If I win, feel free to re-roll.
Okay. We can do that. Or should we just re-roll?
I would just re-roll.
Is that what he's saying? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's draw another winner. Thanks for being honest. Thanks for being honest, Kevin Space Gaming. Appreciate that. We're going to draw another winner. It's Rambo Vital. Rambo Vital, putting your name in the random wheel of names. Kevin Space, appreciate you, buddy. Rambo Vital, he's in chat. Rambo, hope good luck. All right. We'll give YouTube a couple more minutes to get their answers in. Trist, go ahead and sorry, I cut you off.
Yep. But no, I forgot. Maelstrom is something that I really want to see. I don't think it adds any value currently. It could, but I don't think it will. I think having a massive physics engine in an MMO is kind of unrealistic. But it's definitely something that I want to see, and it's super fun to play with. I played in Half-Life Alyx, I played the game for 5 hours and then the physics for 20 hours. It can just be such a big amount of fun. And what they showed was pretty impressive. But again, I want to see it on my machine.
Yeah. If you're on YouTube, you just go to the link pinned to chat. That is my new player guide video. Leave a comment on that video really, really quickly because I'm going to be closing the giveaway in about 30 seconds. Maelstrom is another one to me that is I need to see it to believe it because it looks incredible what they've shown us. I just need to see it. I'm a little concerned about it because I think there's no problem with, okay, you destroyed one ship and it's fragmented out. But what happens when you destroy multiple things really quickly? How is that handled? You know what I mean? I'm not. I have so many questions about Maelstrom. CIG seems really confident about it in some of their past updates. They've said they've been impressed by how quickly it's come together. But again, from a tech perspective, it's a little bit almost seems a little too good to be true. But we'll just see. Okay, everyone, we're going to pull a random comment. I put today's date at 7 p.m., which is when the stream began. So we're going to pick a random YouTube comment from there. I will put your name in the random wheel of names as well, and then we'll spin it. Whoever wins needs to contact me on Discord, StarJump_Grim, so I can confirm you. If you win because you're on Twitch, you can also whisper me on Twitch, okay? So that can happen there. YouTube, though, you have to contact me on Discord, StarJump_Grim, because I have to confirm it's you. And there's a way I do that. Okay, so going to go ahead and pick a random comment, closing it in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, we are hunting for a comment. The stupid window will pop up that I really wish Comment Shark would not do anymore.
Will this also be Rihanna?
It probably will be Rihanna. Yes, it probably will. It probably will. And it's Jake Mid E6S. Jake Mid E6S. Congratulations. You are a semifinalist. Going to put you right there. Remember, Jake, if you win, you need to contact me on Discord. There's no other way to do it. You got to contact me on Discord, StarJump_Grim. You got about 5 days to contact me. Rambo Vital, you can whisper me on Twitch if you win. Okay? All right. It's time to roll the spin wheel. Good luck, everyone. I'm going to spin in 5, 4, 3, and then we're going to stop because Art's going to ask, what's the next show? I don't know what the next show is, but I'm going to get the schedule updated tomorrow, everyone. So I'll schedule out the rest of the shows this week, and I'm actually going to get shows scheduled out for the next 2 weeks tomorrow. Okay? So there you go. And
Allegedly.
2 and 1. Good luck. Good luck.
27 days.
Rabbit wants to get back to kit bashing. We probably do very soon. And it's going to be... Oh, it's Jake. Jake Mid E6S. Congratulations. You won the Steel Tech bundle. You have 5 days to get a hold of me to claim your prize. If you do not, the prize will go to Rambo Vital. Okay? It'll go to Rambo Vital if you do not get back to me within 5 days. There you go. Jake Mid, thank you. Congratulations. That's it, everyone. Trist, thanks for joining us tonight, dude. It's been a long time coming. I've been wanting to have you on. I'm glad you came. You brought a lot to the Galaxy conversation, definitely more than what I would have been able to do on my own. So really appreciate you taking the time and doing this with us tonight. Where can people find you?
Mainly on YouTube. Even streaming, I'm only doing on YouTube currently.
Okay.
So this username, that's it.
There we go. Okay. Art, thank you for joining tonight and producing as you always do, keeping me organized and with everything at the ready. It is a lot of work and I do appreciate it. Everyone, we're going to be raiding. We're going to raid someone over on the on the Twitch side of things. We're going to raid Mr. Photog, send him a little bit of love. Make sure when you go over there, give him that star jump salute, hit the 07, follow him, all that kind of good stuff. Going to go ahead and get ready. Hope you all have a great rest of your week. Look for the YouTube, Twitch, and Discord schedules to get up tomorrow for all my shows coming up. Everyone, have a great night. Appreciate it. Salute everybody. Take it easy.
Thanks, everyone.